and suffocated Mbenze alongside 2 other people. Timakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News.
And a federal court in the U.S. has heard that social media giant Meta knowingly hooked and exploited children. This was heard during a trial against the company yesterday on charges that it deliberately made Instagram and Facebook addictive to young users. A coalition of states is asking that Meta be penalized by around $200 billion for designing products that are addictive to children. During opening statements, California prosecutor Megan O'Neill said Meta exploited how kids' brains work.
ashen look.
Yes, that says I'm not actually just thirsty, but I'm hungry.
Yep.
Okay, I get that.
Running
Yeah.
nose,
Yep.
tattered clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Mateo?
It's gonna be hard to explain this without the numbers, but I think it's when your money doesn't afford you options. The money that you do get every month doesn't afford you options, so you don't have the option of whether you're gonna order in today or you're gonna cook. You don't have that option. You absolutely have to cook, and whatever it is you're cooking is very basic. So in SA, of course, we have the poverty line,
Yeah.
the lower bound poverty line, where you either sacrifice food to pay electricity,
Or transport.
right? So like you don't have the options. Upper bound poverty line, where you can afford both, but you can't afford a good education. So it's a lot of levels.
Have you seen those queues at ShopRite at the end of the day
Yeah.
where the food that they've got has been massively discounted because either that or they throw it away.
Mm.
And people go there to buy these meals because it's their last hope of the day.
Or they buy a lot of bread, particularly freshly baked bread, and you can tell that they're gonna store it in some way that it lasts a certain period of time.
Or it's just got to stretch for many mouths. They've got to stretch it for many mouths.
So Stats SA has an extreme poverty line where they put 777 rand per person in your household. So if there's 4 of you, think about it now. Can you survive on that?
Sure. You split the 770
No, you each get 777 as a household member.
for
but
the
could
month.
you still survive on
Yeah.
For
that?
the day of the month.
For the month?
No, of course not for the day, for the month. Yeah,
For
because
the
for the
month.
day you could. But for the month, I mean, I remember as a teenager, times got so tough that at one stage, I think a box of rainbow chicken livers used to cost 2 rand. And I had to walk to this shop in our neighborhood. It was a good 2 kilometers from my house. But the 2 rand was only available on the day. So it wasn't that I went with $10 and bought, 5 boxes.
Hmm?
I would have to go each day that 2 rand was available. And then the one day the shopkeeper looked at me and said, "Oh, your pets must really love this stuff." And I said, 072 702 1702. What's your definition of poverty? 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa is brought to you by BCX, helping South African organizations turn cloud, data, and AI investments into faster decisions, smarter operations, and measurable business outcomes.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
Yesterday, the Electricity Minister, Dr. Hosienzo Ramagopa, gave a briefing on South Africa's revised electricity pricing policy and announced proposed changes, an overhaul really, of South Africa's free basic electricity policy to reflect how modern household consumption has changed. This is what has prompted our discussion this morning.
The profile of consumption has changed. That the poor, as we understood them previously, has changed significantly to today. That even under conditions of difficulty and strain, they've got a television set, they've got a cell phone, they've got a fridge, they've got an electric kettle, they've got the television, like I've mentioned. And that was not in our earlier computation of about 2001 or so, when we put together the free basic dispensation. We say on account of that, there's a basis for us to increase the free basic allocation. And we are putting in the policy that it will be within a range of 200 kilowatt hour to 300 kilowatt hour per month per household that qualifies.
They've got a fridge, they've got a phone, they've got an electric kettle, they've got a television set. And so they obviously consume a lot more electricity than what was envisaged when they gave that 50 kilowatt baseline. So now they want to bump it up to 200. Do you listen to that and go, a TV, an electric kettle, a phone? Do you listen to that and go, are they poor? I saw Rory Sutherland, who's this marketing guru that I absolutely adore. And one of the things he's pointed out is that if you've got a quibble with poor people having a big television set, one of the things you have to take into account is that that's typically or likely their only form of entertainment. They don't have the options to go out to shows and movies and stadium and the restaurants and take their kids to bounce.
Also, remember that kettle is the geyser, is for warm water to make tea. The two-plate stove also warms up the water. It's not just there for cooking for that hour. So it's, yeah.
What's your definition of poverty?
Let's walk the talk.
702.
Mutia Kharipa, you've got a question of your own?
Yeah, I want to know this morning, what's that thing, that aspect in your life that you knew if you worked on now and you zeroed in would pay off later?
Fitness. Fitness. And I am trying.
Health is wealth.
Fitness,
Yeah.
yeah. Fitness, flexibility, something as simple as stretching.
Mobility, yeah.
Stretching is a thing, I'm finding out. Absolutely. Amu?
Yeah, as well as saving.
Saving.
Just
yeah.
having a little bit of extra money for whatever dark days or whatever you want to call it, just to
Putting something away.
putting something away because
For a rainy day.
For a rainy day.
There we go.
702.
Weather.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. Temperatures will max at 27 degrees in Johannesburg. I went outside my house yesterday. I was just in the backyard at around 5 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, and it was just so lovely to enjoy the warmth at that time of the day. So more of the same, please, today. Pretoria also maxing at 27 degrees. For Vereeniging, 25.
EWN.
First look at the roads. Amma, what are you seeing?
Well, Bongani, we've got the usual starts to the roads this morning. The M1 North heavily backed up already between Boysons and Car Street. The N3 North towards Van Buren Road also heavily backed up there. And then if you're traveling on the N1 North, we've got roadworks towards Allendale Road. Do expect delays there. There's also roadworks that are taking place on the N17 West in the Boksburg area. Delays coming out of Osborne Road. I'll have more updates. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa is brought to you by BCX. Built on trusted telecom business connectivity. Powered by cloud, strengthened by security, enabled by AI.
Morning, Tabongs and 702 listeners. I used NSFAS. It's very bad, my brother. Very bad. You receive books when maybe it's just less than a month left for you to write your exams, and you need those books to qualify to write those exams. Accommodation, they chase you out, the landlords, because the man will come around May, June, and we are doing semester subjects. So I couldn't even manage to finish my diploma because of that. I ended up dropping out.
Gosh, eh? What are you going to do with the books in November?
It reminds me, we had student cards, right? And you used that to print as well.
Yeah.
So you'd have money on your student cards, and you'd have students that would come ask you to print maybe 3 chapters of the work that you've covered.
Yeah.
And you would do that because you understood that situation. It's either they would go study with you at a library, or they would print
Make copies for
those
them.
4 chapters so they could take home to study. And that would be
Gosh.
over months, right? So it's really tough to make it.
Gosh, you've just reminded me, talking of student cards, I wonder if any old Vitsies remember the Gyrovend card. Hey? If you ever had to use the Gyrovend card, it was a system Wits used to use many, many years ago.
Start your day with Bongani Bingwa.
On 702. Let's walk the talk.
Things you need to know at this hour, they're not the only ones, the poor, who are under pressure. Even South Africans earning over 50,000 Rand a month, Debtbusters say, are increasingly turning to debt counseling because their debt repayments exceed their entire take-home pay. So top earners spend 103% of their monthly income just servicing debt, and the total debt amounting to roughly 307% of their annual income. As I played that clip earlier on, the electricity minister saying that they're overhauling the system of free electricity available to low income households that qualify. They're going to move it up from 50 kilowatts per hour a month to over 200. And I'm asking you this morning, what is your definition of poverty? Should we bend the rules sometimes? Listen to this. A woman who had a near-death experience and was declared clinically dead after suffering a cardiac arrest, but was later revived by paramedics. She then, of course, at some point returned to the car that she had parked, but she'd been issued a parking ticket whilst she was being treated. Adam Gilchrist will tell us more on that story a little later on. What's the most untoward or inappropriate behavior you've witnessed in the workplace? An SANDF reservist has had his active call-up terminated after a viral video appeared showing him struggling to walk, allegedly under the influence of alcohol, wearing his military uniform. The SANDF says an internal investigation has confirmed that the reservist, based in Pretoria, was indeed under the influence, and disciplinary action has been taken, and they're saying they have a zero tolerance towards this sort of behavior. On this day in 2008, 22-year-old Lady Gaga released her debut album, The Fame. She'd been performing in New York clubs for years, and the album's hits, Just Dance, Poker Face, turned her into a global star. Who's that artist who was so unique and so different when they arrived on the scene? You were like, huh? I don't get it. Lady Gaga for me. So I'm not talking about somebody you came to love and just later. But you were just, who is this? She was weird to me. I love her now. Both songs, by the way, went to number 1, Just Dance and Poker Face. The next album, Fame Monster, brought even bigger hits like Bad Romance and Telephone. Sfisa Zulu, is there an artist you've come to love that you didn't quite get in the beginning?
I'm not sure.
Or you just love everybody all the time?
I'm not sure.
702.
The newspapers.
What have you got in the newspapers?
Well, I do love the newspapers. American Airlines is bringing back seat-back TV screens on its U.S. flights, and this is a reversal of a decade-long move to scrap them. And the airline pulled the screens from most domestic planes years ago, betting passengers would rather stream on their phones and their tablets. But now that's left travelers with having to deal with like dead batteries on their phones, a patchy Wi-Fi, and being bored. But even with domestic flights, they're like, no, let's bring these TVs back so that we can entertain our travelers, even if it's a short flight.
The front page of the Sowetan this morning, this traffic officer from Tshwane who was boasting on social media. He had a G-Wagon. He and his wife, who was an attorney, were living the life, flashing it on social media. She was dipping, allegedly, into trust funds from clients' estates to fund this lifestyle, and they were stupid enough to flash it on social media. And now they're behind bars.
EWN Business.
Mateo wants to know that aspect of your life that if you focused on right now would pay dividends in the future. Strictness with your money, health, fitness, studying maybe, or just being disciplined. What prompts the question, Mateo?
Well, Bongani, the mine BHP Group are posting a profit increase of 30% to $13.2 billion, or 214 billion rand. What they're currently doing now is focusing on copper. So while everyone is looking at the gold, at the platinum, they say copper is the next frontier. Copper becoming increasingly important to BHP, contributing more than half of the group's revenue for the first time. The company plans to grow copper production by 3 to 4% a year until 2035, with projects in Australia and South America. Now, BHP plans to spend about $11 billion yearly on capital projects, with roughly $4 billion dedicated to growth. More than half of that growth money is targeting copper expansion in Chile, Argentina, Australia, and the United States. Major global and regional mining companies are focusing heavily on copper production, including industry giants like Freeport-McMoRan, BHP Group, Rio Tinto, and Glencore, with annual demand for copper now at 28 million metric tons. Now, why the focus on copper? It's seen as the next frontier for things like artificial intelligence, energy security, and global shifts towards electrification. So a lot of companies looking for a big payday as technology advances.
All right, is the rand doing any lighting up?
Yes, it is. 16 Rand 25 against the US dollar. Stronger this morning. 18 Rand 82 against the euro. And exactly 22 Rand gets you a British pound. The price of gold now at $4,353 an ounce, while platinum is at $1,727. Brent crude up 1% this morning at $91.66 a barrel. More business after 7.
Swiss Zulu to Westbury we go. Let's talk.
That's right, Bongani. Good morning. Joburg Metro Police have arrested a suspect with possible links to suspected gang shootings in Westbury that claimed 4 lives over the weekend. The suspect was arrested in Lenasia South yesterday and found in possession of an illegal revolver with its serial number filed off. He then led officers to a second firearm stash where a Tommy gun and live ammunition were recovered. The JMPD says the suspect is currently only facing firearms-related charges while police continue to investigate his alleged links to the Westbury shooting. Spokesperson Xolani Fihla.
The JMPD remains steadfast in its commitment to restoring law and order, dismantling gang networks and ensuring the safety of all Johannesburg communities. Members of the public are encouraged to continue reporting suspicious activity and illegal firearms to law enforcement.
Meanwhile, the Hawks have dismissed suggestions that CCTV footage has weakened their case against an alleged notorious Reiger Park gangster. The footage, reportedly provided by people close to Regan Collis, is said to show him at home when a deadly shooting took place in the community. Police officers and 2 women were killed in the attack earlier this month. Collis and Jamal Meyer, who made his first appearance in the Boksburg Magistrates Court yesterday, are facing charges in connection with the shooting. Nkosikona Malingamnisi reports.
The CCTV footage, which also surfaced online at the weekend, has since triggered a fierce debate on social media. Some social media users have questioned whether it undermines the police case and whether Collis was rightly arrested. But Hawk spokesperson Katlego Mogale says the footage has not weakened their case, adding that it remains watertight.
Those videos can do the rounds. The investigators have taken the footage that they are supposed to take, and that will be deliberated in court.
Both accused men are due back in court next Tuesday for bail proceedings. Kona Malingamnisi, Eyewitness News.
A handwritten list naming South Africans allegedly including prominent figures is now at the center of a police investigation into a suspected extremist shot dead in Robertson. Western Cape police are trying to establish whether the man was acting alone or had links to a wider network. The suspect was killed following a gun battle at a farm in De Hoop that started on Sunday evening and continued until Monday night. One police officer was wounded during the standoff. Ntutuzelo Nene has more.
Provincial Deputy Police Commissioner for Crime Detection Bongani Bingwa says attempts to negotiate with the suspect failed. Police later searched the crime scene and recovered several firearms and ammunition, an old South African flag and a handwritten journal titled The Enemies of the Boer. Bingwa says they are withholding the names to avoid causing unnecessary alarm.
I'm not going to get into the details of the journal because it has got a number of names. We don't want to scare people. Some of them are from Western Cape, Mpumalanga, Gauteng, and I think there's one from Eastern Cape as well as in KZN.
Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
And at least 9 people have died and several others injured after a fire broke out at a hotel in India. The fire department in West Bengal says 6 men, 2 women and a child have been rescued and taken to hospital. The cause of the fire is not yet known. A fine day in store for Gauteng today. The temperatures are at lows of 4 and 9 degrees, peaking at highs between 25 and 27.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N3 North approaching the Geldenhuys interchange as we come out of the Elands turn-off. There's also queuing traffic on the N1 North between Malibongwe Drive and Winnie Mandela Drive.
The top story this hour, one person has been arrested with links or possible links to suspected gang shootings in Westbury.
Cloud adoption is no longer the differentiator. Business value is. Today's leading organizations need more than technology platforms. They need better visibility, faster decision-making, and the agility to respond to change. BCX connects cloud, cybersecurity, managed services, AI, and trusted telecom business connectivity into one intelligent ecosystem that helps organizations improve operational performance, strengthen resilience, and create measurable business outcomes. BCX, connected multi-cloud, intelligent business. BCX enables businesses. Visit bcx.co.za.
There's important progress in health happening right here in South Africa. Local researchers are studying a promising TB vaccine candidate, M72, that could help prevent people from becoming seriously ill with the disease. At the same time, initiatives like Coach Mpilo are supporting men living with HIV, helping them overcome stigma and stay on treatment through peer support and private chat guidance. It's South Africa's science, innovation and community leadership contributing to the future of global health, supported by the Gates Foundation for over 25 years, partners of human potential.
Mama million here, and yes, I am a millionaire, and not a Mampara. I said goodbye to Mampara week long ago, and I know you're not a Mampara. Say it with me, I'm not a Mampara. Then go play the lotto for just 5 rand, so that you're not weak on Mampara week. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sisekaya.
Peregrine Capital presents Brian Habana's Count to 100.
In my journey to 100, it started with my first cap, then my second, 10th, 50th, 90th, 99th.
Brian Habana, his 100th international test.
You get to 100 one decision at a time. For 28 years, Peregrine Capital has applied that same discipline to turn 1 million rand into 100 million. Peregrine Capital. Invest in performance. An authorized FSP. Past performance non-indicative of future performance. T's and C's apply.
Coming up in the next hour, What's the Question? Brought to you by Outsurance. 3,000 Rand in cash is up for grabs. You send us an answer based on something that piqued your interest during the show. For that, we'll give you $1,000. Simply WhatsApp us your name and the answer to 072 702 1702. Of course, a little later, someone else will ask a question to win 2,000 Rand. Remember, you always stand a better chance of being selected if you have SMS'd out to Outsurance to get yourself a quote. So do it now. SMS out to 45142 and you could save on your car insurance.
This is 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa, brought to you by BCX. Built on trusted connectivity, powered by cloud, strengthened by security, enabled by AI.
Morning, Bongani and the team. Bradley and Randback. Bongani in 2026, the poverty, the biggest poverty is mentality. If you don't have a right mindset, that's your poverty.
Morning, Bongani. We are living in the most unequal country in the world. People don't know the pain of actually being employed, actually working, but still being poor. So whatever the forces that are behind the destruction of NSFAS, can they please stop? NSFAS is simply too big and too crucial to fail. Can they just stop what they're doing to NSFAS, please, Bongani? Thank you. This is Kich from Mikuruleni.
Good morning, 702 and the listeners. This is Motel from Johannesburg. I define poverty in 2026 as not having a learnable skill that is valuable to the modern market and economy, and not having access to the resources needed to develop the skill, apply and modernize that skill. In today's world, the pathway to economic success has become increasingly dependent on skill, technology, knowledge, and access to resources. Therefore, poverty is not only a lack of money, it is also a lack of valuable learnable skills and the resources required to turn those skills into economic opportunity. Thank you.
Morning, Bongs. Morning, team. Morning, Nenda. Same tea. Hi, Bongs. Some topic are just touching, man. You know, when you talk about walking for a 2 kilometer for a bunch of liver, it's just touching on its own. So if we keep on telling stories and everything, some of us will just even take the tears out of our eyes, man. It's touching the topic. Very touching. If you want to know where people come from, touching.
Yeah, I wasn't born in an air-conditioned studio in Sandton. I had to take quite the road to get here. I'm not convinced I agree. Maybe I didn't understand. Poverty as a mental state of mind. It's about your mentality. I'm not sure if I fully agree with that. Was it Margaret Thatcher who said poverty revealed or showed a flaw of character? I think that is unhelpful thinking. NSFAS. We always think of corruption as harmless, a few guys who could get away with it, but all of these things have a snowball effect in terms of how they then affect the entire country and the economy. I like what Muteo was saying, that voice note from our listener called Muteo, not Haripe, who says poverty for him means you lack skills, you lack the ability to be productive in this economy. if you can't do something that the market values as something that they can pay for, you get nothing because you've got nothing to give.
EWN Sport.
I tell you what, Cindy Paluta, very good morning to you. The one team that is not poor, that have all the options, the All Blacks.
Right. I mean, there's no other... Well, firstly, there's not much other sport on at the moment, but there's no bigger match than this Saturday's one at Ellis Park. And so this week, it's just the build-up to the Springboks against the All Blacks in the greatest rivalry, the first time the series has ever happened. And on social media, people have actually done a breakdown of how evenly matched these two teams are. And it's possibly one of the greatest head-to-heads between two such evenly matched teams across all sports. So very, very fascinating one. But so everybody's waiting for the team announcement tomorrow, and the All Blacks have not ruled out Damian McKenzie. He injured his ankle playing against the Sharks. He has All Blacks assistant coach Tano Maga.
He got through what he needed to get through, so he's trending well for being available for this weekend. So, and that's all we can ask. Our medical staff have done a really good job, as well as our agency, to make sure that they're taking every precaution they can, but making sure that he puts his best foot forward to be available for the attack.
Bok assistant coach Felix Jones feels both teams have had decent preparation in the build-up to the match.
To answer it, both teams are going to feel really prepared. That's the games that they've had is the franchise games, and we've obviously had a preparation against Argentina for some guys, and we have had some guys that have stayed behind here, and obviously Rassi will announce the team later in the week. So.
One game in the Betway Premiership tonight. Mamelodi Sundowns are hosting Maruma Gallants. That's at 7:30. Abroad, Senegal has appointed former France and Arsenal midfielder Patrick Vieira as national head coach. Vieira was born in Senegal and was part of France's World Cup winning side in 1998. Yesterday, Barcelona officially unveiling Rodri. It was a 4-year deal from Manchester City for £65 million. At the Hockey World Cup, the South African men's and women's team both losing their second matches. The men's captain Dayan Kasim earned his 100th Test cap in a 4-1 loss to Ireland, while the women lost to India 6-1. In tennis at the Cincinnati Masters, the women's top seed Sabalenka cruised past Wang 6-1, 6-3 to go through to the last 16 with Goff, Andreeva and Kostiak. On the men's side, top seeds through to the last 16 include Agia Lassim, Fritz and Musetti. And the first players for the Nedbank Golf Challenge have been confirmed. The defending champion Christopher Rayton, along with Bryson DeChambeau, who'll be making his debut, and Justin Rose. The tournament takes place from the 3rd to the 6th of December. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
The Brainy Kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
Hello, my name is Ngleba Onangleba. I'm 12 years old and I go to Curo Online. Today I'm feeling nervous and excited to play the Whiz Kid with Uncle Bongani.
702.
Coming up at 7:15, the big interview.
EWN Traffic.
Well, we can't wait to play the Whiz Quiz with Onangneba 2. And of course, this EWN Traffic brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. There are peak delays at this hour. Amo?
Yeah, that's correct, Bongani. Particularly traveling on the N1 South. This is between Olifantsfontein Road and New Road. There's also a bit of a hold-up on the N12 R24 West towards the Kilulis interchange. And then, of course, if you're traveling on the N3 North out of Germiston towards the Bedford View area, delays between the Elands turn off and the Van Buren Road exit. I'll have more updates, but if you see anything else, we're on X at EWN.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Things people stress about in traffic. Number 47. Did I turn the iron off? Oh, the inner turmoil. Well, with the Outsurance pointsmen on your route, at least the traffic is one less thing to stress about. The Outsurance pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Mama million here, and yes, I am a millionaire. And not a Mampara. I said goodbye to Mampara week long ago. And I know you're not a Mampara. Say it with me. I'm not a Mampara. Then go play the lotto for just 5 Rand so that you're not weak on Mampara Week, the national lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sisekhaya.
Ready to take your career to the next level and make a lasting impact? At the Wits School of Governance, you'll gain the knowledge and leadership skills to help shape better public policy, governance and development across Africa. Applications are now open for the 2027 intake, with postgraduate diplomas, Master of Management and PhD programs available, including flexible online study options. Apply today at wsg.ac.za. Wits School of Governance, Africa's leading school of governance.
Your business needs that new ultrasound machine, but do you have the cash to fund it? Before you compromise on the core items your business needs, have you looked at saving on your business insurance? Switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium for dentistries, general medical practices, physiotherapies, and all other businesses. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. OUTsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
Hey, Bongani. I think poverty is when you have to send your kids walking to school alone.
Hey, good morning, 702. I think my definition of poverty is waking up every day, going to work, but really can't survive. I think it happens to a lot of people whereby your salary doesn't reach everything that you have to do. You hardly afford to pay rent. You have to borrow money every month for transport. On top of that, your family knows the fact that you are working, so they will expect something from you every month, knowing very well that you don't have that money. Sometimes you go to work hungry, you come back to work hungry, you don't even know what you're gonna eat, but you're working. So for me, that's my definition of poverty. It's just basically working for nothing, but you know that you have to work, but staying at home, it's not something that you can do. Yeah, it's Pumlani from Pretoria. Thanks.
Good morning,
for your
Bongs
show,
and the
guys.
team, 702 and Bongs. Definition of poverty in 2026 for me simply means that not having enough money for basic human needs, essentials. I mean, I'm listening to Hosin's speech there talking about television, cell phones, and whatnots, but he's not mentioning a simple basic need, Bongani, food. He's not mentioning water. I mean, for a fridge to be on, there has to be something in it, and he's not mentioning anything to do with groceries, basic needs. That's for me, in a nutshell, definition of poverty in 2026, which I think the government hasn't attained thus far. Joel in Kempton Park, have a splendid Wednesday.
Indeed. What's your definition of poverty? And it's been really interesting to hear some of the things people are saying. Letting your kids walk alone, particularly, of course, if they're younger, to school without supervision, and all sorts of horrors could happen. A car accident, they could be abducted, and you just don't have a choice because that's your lot in life. What's your definition of poverty in 2026, and has it changed from what it once used to be?
Who is the whizziest of them all?
It's the Whiz Quiz on 702.
Up next, the Africa Report. Zambia's Hakainde Hichilema has won a second term, but can he turn economic progress into better lives for ordinary Zambians? In the meantime, we're playing the Whiz Quiz with 12-year-old Oneneba, who goes to Curo online and wants to be a chef or a painter. Oneneba, let's see what we can cook in the Whiz Quiz. Hey, are you ready?
Yes.
Yes, I love the confidence. Chef or painter? You're not quite sure yet, hey?
Yeah.
It'll come to you.
Either or.
It'll come to you. No pressure, no pressure. KG, start the clock. What is the capital of Australia? Is it Canberra or is it Paris?
Canberra.
Correct. In fairy tales, how many bears are there in the story of Goldilocks?
3.
Correct. What 3-letter name do people use for KwaZulu-Natal?
KZN.
Correct. True or false? The word bonjour means hello in Greek.
False.
Correct. Complete the saying, money doesn't grow on what?
Trees.
Correct. What month comes between July and September?
August.
Correct. At which sport will fans blow vuvuzelas?
Pass.
Soccer. What is 29 plus 9?
38.
Correct. When you lay a table, on which side of a plate is the knife?
The right.
Correct. Spell the word tomorrow.
TOMORROW.
That is indeed correct. Oh, it's just the vuvuzelas. The vuvuzelas. They were the biggest thing, the 2010 World Cup. Onengaba, you did really, really well, hey? So proud of you. So proud of you. 900 Rand. Well done. Well done.
Thank
so
you.
close to the 10,000 Rand. 900 Rand. 9 correct answers is a credible score. If you are, or your kid, or someone's kid you know, you think ought to play the Whiz Quiz, if they're aged 10 to 13, go to Prime Media Plus and get them entered, because we could be calling them to play the Whiz Quiz.
The Brainy Kids of the Whiz Quiz.
On 702.
702.
The Africa Report.
Gosh, what would President Ramaphosa do with these figures? Hey, Zambia's President Hakainde Hichilema has won a second term, taking 61% of the vote against his main challenger, Brian Mudumbile, who won 38%. Of course, you'll remember he came to power in 2021, did Hichilema, promising to turn around a struggling economy. He's since then overseen Zambia's debt restructuring, trying to push and trying to attract investment, particularly into its copper industry. But for many Zambians, the question is simple. Has economic progress actually made life better? And of course, quite apart from solidarity with the rest of the continent, we now know what happens there often impacts what happens here. And there were all sorts of issues, by the way, with this election. It wasn't without its controversy. There were vote counting at some point was suspended over reports of violence and stolen ballot papers, international observers raising concerns about campaign restrictions and an uneven playing field. We've invited Dr. Tendai Mbanje, who is a governance and elections expert at the University of Pretoria. Very good morning to you, and thank you for your time this morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
I said in my introduction, wouldn't Ramaphosa and the ANC love these numbers? Hichilema won by a clear margin.
They should be worried. They should be worried that elections are not just won on numbers. Elections are about optics. Elections are about procedures. Elections are about legitimacy. Elections are about adhering to regional and international standards set by the UN, African Union, SADC guidelines on elections. Elections are about the stability of the region. So some of those boxes are not ticked yet. So they should be worried because Zambia may be or may plunge into instability going ahead. So it's something that we are all worried about.
I'm just going to ask you to speak up a little louder so we can make sure you're absolutely clear. Are you suggesting then this election wasn't free and fair, or at least that there are questions to be raised about its legitimacy?
Yes, I'm suggesting that this election was marred with procedural questions, as well as the optics of this election did not meet the standards of legitimacy. Like, for example, one of the tests is transparency. You cannot, another test is about fairness. You cannot, for example, suspend counting of your election results for 6 hours, and without sufficient explanation that is convincing to opponents and the citizens, and expect the result to be fully accepted. Another issue is that human rights watch groups have, or human rights think tanks, watchdogs, have pointed issues of a tilted electoral landscape where, for example, the oppositions have been harassed, jailing of journalists, access to information restricted, You have seen that the shrinking of the civic space into the election, enactment of legislation that has been seen to benefit the incumbent, for example. So there were many issues that one could point that could affect legitimacy of this election within Zambia, and perhaps also it could affect the optics of how this election is perceived by the international community.
I'll take you back as long ago as 1990, I think, when Chiluba came into power. Zambia set itself as that country where there could be a peaceful transfer of power from one political party to another. Not fully accepted, of course, is one thing. I mean, how hotly contested could this result be, particularly by the average Zambian?
Yeah, I mean, for the average Zambian, they have never seen it in the history of the election that pockets of or selected constituencies, maybe 10 or 15 out of thousands, see violence, and then you suspend the counting of the election result, the entire country. One would assume that the law enforcement was there to be deployed to areas or to pockets of areas where there was violence, and then there's no sufficient explanation on that. So an average Zambian would think that even if there was no manipulation, would think of manipulation, because it's unheard of that in terms of the magnitude of the violence, if it's in specific pockets, deploy law enforcement in specific pockets and address an issue. Why do you suspend the entire process?
Sure. I guess my question is, I understand all those questions being raised, but what I'm trying to figure out is, are we likely to see protests against this government now? Are we likely to see Hichilema being really challenged, and perhaps even outside of the political system?
Yes, I mean, we are likely to see protests, and coupled with that, you have seen that I'm sure you've heard about the allegations of the shooting at the opposition leader's house. So we are going to see that the supporters of opposition, they feel like their leaders are under siege, are attacked. So we're going to definitely to see resistance to Hichilema's governance going ahead. We are going also to see that there will be pressure to include regional leaders to dialogue about what has happened. And maybe the international community also may raise concerns, because if, for example, investors do not just come because you've won election, they also want to come because they see that the place is stable and is conducive for doing business. So if there are ongoing tensions within the nation, that may affect that. So each layman would need to move out of that to really address these issues. It's not a clean win, in my view.
And he'll have support, no doubt, though, from his colleagues in terms of the heads of state in SADC, won't he?
He may have that, but internal pressures are unique. You know, they are quite tense, because even if he wants to develop the economy, he doesn't have 2/3 majority in parliament. He needs to work with other stakeholders. So definitely, you cannot ignore domestic politics, domestic dynamics, and leverage on regional support. It will not work. We've seen that it has not worked anywhere. Regional support has limited impact to how domestic politics unfold.
And all these things are related and linked, are they not? Appreciate your time, Dr. Tendai Mbanje from the University of Pretoria. And of course, if there's instability in Zambia, it then cascades across the region as people find that life gets tougher and need to go elsewhere. And that's why when we're silent when these things happen, we can't then be surprised when there's an influx of people from the countries that we chose not to say anything about when the troubles started.
702.
Coming up, the big interview.
Big interview focuses on the absolute disaster and shambles that NSFAS has become. What accountability is necessary to make sure things are turned around? Or do we need to scrap the scheme entirely? All of that to come after this Eyewitness News, brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand.
This is EWN.
Education experts say NSFAS is in a lot of trouble.
NSFAS owes universities well over 10.5 billion rand in tuition payments for funded students.
And the NPA gives an update on investigations into the Tembisa Hospital looting scandal. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. The National Council on Higher Education says public universities in the country may be at risk of a cash flow crisis. Public Protector Kollega Galega released a report into NSFAS yesterday, which has found deficiencies in governance, administration and funding coordination.
The allegation that there are systemic deficiencies in the administration, governance and funding coordination and oversight of student financial aid within the higher education sector is substantiated.
Council member Linda Meyer says 26 universities are bearing the brunt of the inefficiencies at NSFAS. She says funding shortfalls are threatening salaries, operations and academic programs.
This crisis affects all of the 26 South African public universities, although not every institution is affected equally. NSFAS owes universities well over 10.5 billion rand in tuition payments for funded students. Universities have already provided teaching, support and other services, but the expected funding has not followed.
Mayor says there's still uncertainty over when the funding backlog will be resolved.
The early release is, however, very unlikely. Longer-term measures include an audit improvement plan, stronger data integration, investigations of irregular payments. However, no reliable final completion date has been provided.
The Public Protector has ordered Higher Education Minister Putima Namela to submit a plan for remedial action by November this year. Meanwhile, students have pleaded with Parliament's Higher Education Portfolio Committee to intervene in their dispute with the Cape Peninsula University of Technology. Students have been protesting over a proposed financial recovery plan that would have required them to pay 7,000 rand at registration next year, which has since been withdrawn. Academic activity has been suspended and everyone has been ordered to vacate their residencies. The institution says it made this decision after a building on Belleville campus was set alight on Monday. Mitha George reports.
About 500 students marched to Parliament yesterday to hand over a memorandum to the Higher Education Portfolio Committee. The memorandum, with 23 demands, was received and signed by the committee chairperson. The list includes a request for the committee to intervene and investigate issues relating to the CPUT's finances, the management of funds allocated to meet students' needs, and the employment of some members of the university management. Central SRC President Liabulela Gela says the university management decided to evacuate residences because they don't know how to address their demands.
Perhaps maybe this is their opportunity to make sure that there's no students on campus so that they can proceed their steps of approval of the financial recovery plan. It's very simple. It is not going to happen.
Gela says the move will place further financial strain on the institution.
And this is perhaps one of the things that have caused the university to be in financial crisis now, because in 2023 they did exactly the same thing that they did now.
The students have given the Higher Education Portfolio Committee until next Tuesday to respond to their demands. Mitha George, Eyewitness News.
The National Director of Public Prosecutions, Andy Motibi, says those involved in corruption at the Tembisa Hospital will eventually be prosecuted. The Standing Committee on Public Accounts in Parliament yesterday questioned why alleged tender fraudster Bongani Bingwa has not been arrested, but his assets have been seized. Motibi said the matter is still under investigation. During Motibi's tenure as the head of the Special Investigating Unit, the agency uncovered fraudulent activities between Bingwa and the Gauteng Health Department amounting to roughly 800 million rand. The High Court last year granted an order to seize more than 300 million rand in assets from the Bingwa syndicate. Lindsay Dentlinker has more.
The seizure of a fleet of luxury cars from businessman Bongani Bingwa stunned many South Africans. DAMP Patrick Atkinson yesterday probed the progress made in the investigations into corruption at the Gauteng Health Department, noting that whistleblowers had been killed for exposing the rot. But NPA boss Andy Motibi moved to assure the committee that on the back of the asset seizures, more is yet to come.
We are dealing with it decisively. We're leaving no stone unturned.
Motibi says the NPA is acutely aware of the impact the corruption at Tembisa Hospital has had on the vulnerable and therefore the importance of pursuing the matter. Mothibi has told Scopa while there's been notable progress in pursuing state capture cases since the establishment of the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption, more can be done to ensure successful arrests and prosecutions. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And finally, five-time Grammy winner Angelique Kidjo has become the first black African to be honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Born in Benin, Kidjo has built an international career spanning more than 40 years and 18 albums. As well as being named one of Time magazine's 100 most influential people, she has also been nominated as one of Africa's 50 most iconic figures by the BBC and one of the 100 most inspiring people in the world by The Guardian.
We Africans don't know what we've given to the world, that we continue giving to the world for the music to exist. Without us, there's no music possible on this planet.
Gold is trading at $4,345, 11 cents an ounce. The rand is at 16.25 to the dollar, 22.01 to the pound, 18.83 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $91.63 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got an accident reported on the N3 North. It happened right after Modderfontein Road. It's causing heavy delays coming out of the Kilulis interchange. Then if you're heading towards Sandton, another accident. Unfortunately, this one is along Pretoria Main Road, right as you off-ramp towards the M1. It's causing delays. Please approach with care.
And in your sports, Springbok Grant Williams says bragging rights in his family on the line for Saturday's test with the All Blacks. While the All Blacks have not ruled out Damian McKenzie for the first test yet. Betway Premiership action at Loftus tonight. Sundowns are hosting Galants. And Senegal has appointed former France international Patrick Vieira as their national head coach.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 25 and 27 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The National Council of Higher Education says public universities in the country may be at risk of a cash flow crisis.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Deciding to ignore your alarm may cost you your flight. By deciding to stay with your current car insurance could be costing you thousands of rands in savings a year. Without insurance, 43-year-old Ilana saves an unbelievable 349 Rand a month on her 2022 Suzuki Jimny. Switch to OutSurance today and you could be one quote away from having more money in your pocket every month. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. OutSurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
Your community, your concerns, your voice. Follow every moment of the local government elections on 702 Cape Talk and ewn.co.za.
You're listening to 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa, brought to you by BCX, technology that helps organizations move forward.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Up next, we will be talking matters NSFAS. We received voice notes a little earlier on. Someone suggesting that it just isn't working. They had to drop out. How many others have that story? You only receive your textbooks late into the semester. What's the point of getting your books in October? In October. And of course, there's a tick box exercise. The books were delivered. KG, you did get the books. The system will reflect. But in November, in October. What's the point? Yes, accommodation was paid, but you were kicked out 2 months earlier. What's the point? The National Council on Higher Education saying public universities in the country may be at risk because of a cash flow crisis. A lot of it stemming from NSFAS related issues. Public universities are probably one of those things we should fight with our very lives to preserve. Students resorting to go to Parliament's Higher Education Portfolio Committee to intervene, saying, help us, help us. Well, up next, we speak to the chair of that committee.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Be afraid, be very afraid. I mean, how scary are some of the things that we are hearing at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry? I want you to take a listen to the evidence leader, Matthew Chaskelson, yesterday, who believes that the trio of the late Jotham Msibi, Steve Mutsumi, and Katiso Molefe were running a commercial venture centered on selling advanced surveillance technology. These are the grabbers and the surveillance gizmos, I suppose, to be able to intercept communications by private citizens. And the presumption, as he argues in this clip that you'll hear, that is not only were they trying to sell off this stuff, at least to Eswatini, they were pretending to be representatives of the South African state to even acquire it. And Lord knows what else they were doing with it. Have a listen.
3 men are dealing with foreign companies to get access to grabber technology. And then, at least in the case of Mr. Msibi, they seem to be looking to sell that technology to the Eswatini government in that first case that we saw. They didn't manage, it seems, in that case to sell to the Eswatini government. They may well have managed in this case, we just don't know. But whether or not they are managing to sell the technology to a foreign state, they presumably can also have access to it for their own purposes. They are able to deal with the providers of this technology. They are being invited to sign contracts with the providers of this technology in the case of Infosys on the basis that they represent the South African state. This is a worrying state of affairs, a very worrying state of affairs. This is the sort of technology that should only go into the hands of intelligence agencies, are then constrained to use it under fairly strict legislative control.
Just break that down. Break that down. Firstly, that they got away with misrepresenting themselves as if they were agents of the South African state. And nobody picked that up. That alone, strike one. They were able to buy these things, acquire them, and then still try and sell them off to a foreign government. Strike two. And whilst in their possession, presuming, of course, that eventually they were selling them off, whilst in their possession, what did they do with them? And then Matthew Chaskelson also showed us these guys were cherry-picking tenders in the city of Ekurhuleni before they were even out. They were cherry-picking tenders from the city of Ekurhuleni before those were even out. Remember, of course, Nxumalo was the same person who, it emerged earlier this year, I think it was the Sunday Times that reported, was the one who funded the former city manager's luxurious trip overseas. They were picking these tenders before they were even out.
It's a link between Mr. Msibi and Ekurhuleni, which certainly we weren't expecting. We see that Mr. Msibi appears to have used Mr. Nxumalo, who is someone who we previously have met in connection with Mr. Msibi, to rig a tender for him at Ekurhuleni. And if we start at page 141, chat number 3, we see, and these are chats between Mr. Msibi and Mr. Nxumalo. We see at chat number 3, this is now the 26th of April 2023, that Mr. Msibi sends to Mr. Nxumalo a chat where he says the following: 1, Camproc Pty Limited. 2, Project Management Unit for BRT project. 3, the Project Management Unit contract is funded by the National Department of Transport through the city of Ekurhuleni. 4, the Project Management contract is under the Department of Transport and Fleet Management in the city.
Isn't it amazing? And then people like Imogen Mashazi say, oh, you know, nothing untoward with these trips being funded by these people. It is really quite extraordinary.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
Things you need to know at this hour. Authorities have been carrying out a major crackdown at China Mall in Johannesburg. They've seized products they say don't meet South African safety standards. The operation involved the National Regulator for Compulsory Specifications, SAPS, the National Consumer Commission, SARS, and other government agencies. More than 10 shops were found to be non-compliant. They seized items that were unsafe in terms of electrical plugs, baby car seats, cosmetics, lotions, and perfumes. So be careful. The products that you think you are getting cheaply, do they meet the required standards for South Africa? The Education Labour Relations Council has ruled that the dismissal of 3 Zimbabwean lecturers from the Southwest Gauteng TVET College was unfair. The lecturers Ivy Ngube, Andile Ngube, and Tsungai Shumba were dismissed over alleged non-compliance with the Department of Home Affairs requirements. Born on the 19th of August 1883 in France, Gabrielle Coco Chanel became one of the most influential figures in fashion of the last century. Today is also World Humanitarian Day, honoring aid and health workers who risk their lives to help communities affected by conflict and crises. And on this day in 1977, Patti LaBelle launched her solo career with the release of her self-titled album, following the breakup of her pioneering group LaBelle. The album featured You Are My Friend, which became one of her most enduring signature songs. Her solo career, of course, would later reach greater heights in the 1980s with hits such as New Attitude, I'm on My Own, If You Asked Me To.
702. Up next,
The Big Interview.
EWN Traffic.
Amo, tell us what's happening on the roads at this hour. Good morning again.
Morning, Bongani. Well, we do have an accident on the N3 North. It happened near Modderfontein Road. It's causing heavy traffic volumes coming out of the Kadulis interchange. There's also queuing traffic on the N1 North between the N17 exit and Albertina Sisulu Road heading towards Florida. I'll have more updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. 702.
The Big Interview.
With Bongani Bingwa.
I don't typically do this, but I thought, gosh, it's so well written, I can't improve on it. So let me read it. This is the editorial in the Sowetan this morning. And simply put, they say, the long-running maladministration soap opera at the National Student Financial Aid Scheme has reached a shameful depth. The failures there now threaten not only the students' academic progress, but also their dignity, safety, and mental well-being. It comes, of course, on the back of what we heard from the public protector, Kollega Gcaleka, and the Sowetan says she rightly is sounding the alarm, and they're saying it's a damning indictment on an institution whose core responsibility is to ensure financially disadvantaged students can access and complete higher education. Instead, delays, non-payment of allowances for food and accommodation have left beneficiaries without meals, some facing eviction from accommodation. No student should have to choose between attending lectures and having a meal. And what NSFAS is doing is simply impairing the dignity of these students, humiliating them, quite frankly. Tebogo Litsie is the chairperson of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Higher Education, and they are one, at least, of the bodies that are meant to keep an eye on the executive and indeed how they run entities like NSFAS. A pleasure to have you on our show. Thank you for your time this morning.
Good morning, Bongani. Good morning to the listeners, and thanks for having us.
NSFAS is a complete disaster, surely.
Well, I don't agree. I mean, NSFAS, as we speak, is funding over 1 million students and only about 40,000. And we don't agree that those 40,000 are not important. They're extremely important. The delays of payments of tuition, delays of payments of allowances, is around 50-something thousand students, and to say that it's a complete disaster is just to, exaggerate the crisis. There is a problem. We must accept. We have called it all along, but to then to come and conclude that it's a complete disaster, I think we're just exaggerating the problem, and we're not underplaying that those people that have been put there at NSFAS to run the institution, some of them have done extremely bad. We agree, but to conclude that it's an extreme disaster, we don't agree.
I'm struggling to see how you get there, because, I mean, you talk about these 40,000 students, right? We understand across nearly 80 institutions. There's an amount of 5 billion rand in terms of improper funding. I mean, certainly millions have gone to students who do not qualify for that funding, and those who do have been deprived of those resources. We are now seeing something as alarming as the National Council on Higher Education saying our public universities may be at risk because of a cash flow crisis, much of it because of NSFAS. How do you not say it isn't a complete disaster?
No. So a few things that I think, and I do not want to speak on behalf of NSFAS, because I also have my own issues with how they are dealing with it. But if we are to exaggerate the challenge, I honestly have a challenge. Firstly, the 5.1 billion that was funded to these students, the public protector correctly indicated that it was from 2010 until 2026. So this was a 16-year period. I don't know how much.
So what, in 16 years, we could find that amount negligible because it was 16 years? 5 billion rand?
No. As we are speaking now, the scheme this year alone, Bongani, is a 50 billion in an institution as we speak now, this year alone. And to the second point, so 5.1 is a lot of money. It's a money that we are going to make sure that whoever is responsible, making sure that the 5.1 billion that went to students who did not meet the minimum requirements to be funded were funded. That's what the public protector indicates. And I can tell you now, because I know, I always, when I go to institutions, tell students themselves that they must not submit fraudulent document to say, hi, now I stay with the granny alone, my mother is not around, we don't know where my father is. These are the people that the money would have went to. And I'm sure between you and I and the listeners as we speak now, we know at least one of those who have done so. And we must discourage people from applying with fraudulent documents to NSFAS. Yes, the PP correctly indicates that the controls on NSFAS should have long improved, and that's the point she's making. The second point that you've spoken about, when Council of Higher Education indicates that institutions are at risk of not paying even the salaries of their staff. It's again something that we can't defend and insulate NSFAS from. But we also need to indicate what is the problem. The problem at institutions of higher learning now is because people are taking advantage of the internal controls that the public protector is talking about and wanting to milk the state. What do I mean? There are institutions today who for a bed, not even a room, who for a bed want to charge students who come from poor background about 11,000 rand per month. And that is something that even the public protector spoke about, the cost of student accommodation in South Africa. She has even indicated that she's going to even do a separate investigation on that, which is something that we have spoken about. We don't agree with people who want to take advantage of those particular, and we're not insulating NSFAS from their own problems.
So here's my difficulty, and it's unfortunate in a sense because your role is to be asking the tough questions. And part of my difficulty is I'm not laying the blame of what's gone wrong at NSFAS at your door by any means. But for you to be able to hold the executive to account, that means you've got to also be able to correctly diagnose the problem. And so if you see it as an exaggeration that, for instance, the funding shortfall for NSFAS has now ballooned to 15 billion rand. If you then see that kind of thing, when I say it's an absolute disaster, as, a few problems here and there, but not a disaster, if you see that as an exaggeration, then I'm afraid I'm concerned about your ability to make sure that there's meaningful change, because you yourself don't see this as the disaster that it actually is. And so we then have a scenario like we did, for example, last week when we had the minister unable to explain the most basic issues around the administrator and the advisors. We've had that High Court decision that overturned the disbandment of that board, which again was a political issue around the appointment of a CEO. We've got all of these issues, and I'm afraid for your ability to hold these people accountable if you yourself think it's an exaggeration to call it an absolute disaster.
Yeah,
or is that just a philosophical disagreement we have?
Yeah. Unfortunately, Bongani, that's, I think, where we're going to disagree, because firstly, when the minister put NSFAS under administration, it was us who, by the way, indicated that we believe that the minister is going to lose that case against NSFAS on 3 fronts. And if you read the judgment agreed with all of us with the 3 issues that were raised to the ministry ourselves. It is not, us disagreeing with an exaggeration does not mean our ability to diagnose problem at NSFAS, therefore, or we have an inability to. It is us who continue on a daily basis, including last week, the meeting that you are quoting now. It is not somebody. It is us who asked the minister.
And I fully appreciate that, and that's why I invited you onto this program to say, what are you seeing from your side? Because we've reached out to the minister, and he won't come on. And I'm not suggesting that you are not identifying any problems. I'm not suggesting that you are in love with all that is happening, but I think the number of issues I've highlighted point to a disastrous situation. And unless we call it what it is, I don't see how we're going to effect meaningful change. But as you say, you and I can disagree on that. Tebogo Letsi, I appreciate your time, the chairperson there of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Higher Education. Which way do you see it? Just a few problems here and there. They're highlighting them. They're telling the minister where they think he's wrong. But it's an exaggeration to call it an absolute disaster. Am I being dramatic? Am I the drama?
EWN Business.
Business news now, 29 after 7. Mateo, ABSA delivering record earnings for the first half of 2026.
Yeah, but one of the lender's South African operations helped offset weaker earnings elsewhere on the continent as headline earnings rose 8% to a record 12.8 billion rand. ABSA's local operations rose to 9 billion rand, which helped the general earnings. The bank's rest of Africa business saw profits fall by 10%, partly because of interest rate cuts in markets such as Kenya and Ghana. ABSA still expects the South African economy to grow by around 1.5% this year, supported by improvements in electricity, transport, and other infrastructure.
So the Red Bank in the black.
Yeah, they're in the black.
Tell me about the markets.
There was a big sell-off of the semiconductor companies or chip makers, and that hit the broader global market. On the New York Stock Exchange, the Dow shared about 116 points yesterday, while the S&P 500 also came in lower. The tech-heavy Nasdaq hit by more than 1.3% yesterday. In Asia this morning, South Korea's Kospi dropping 5.8%. Japan's Nikkei down 1%, while the Topix also down 1%. Australia's benchmark S&P ASX 200 slipping by 0.5%, and not much movement in China with the CSI 300.
Your indicators?
Well, a bit of a drop for the JSE yesterday, down 1,349 points up. Mining shares were down, banking stocks were weaker, and industrial shares down 0.5%. That saw the broader local market lower, but the rand doing far better this morning. 16 rand at 25 against the US dollar, 18 rand 83 against the euro, and 22 rand 1 cent against the British pound. Price of gold up marginally this morning, $4,339 an ounce, or platinum is at $1,718. Brent crude up this morning at $91.44 a barrel. More business after 8.
Time for the latest eyewitness news now. Sfiso Zulu, will she be a slay or a bandit queen?
Well, yeah, it's yet to be found out that the Cape Town Regional Court is set to deliver judgment today on whether Nigerian pageant queen Chidima Adechina should be detained pending potential deportation. The former Miss South Africa contestant was arrested in June for entering the country illegally through the Lebombo border in Mozambique, despite being declared a prohibited person. Camry Clark has more.
The identity and travel documents of beauty queen Chidima Adechina were cancelled in October 2024. After her mother was accused of fraudulently registering her birth to a South African woman. Adechina's legal team said that while the Department of Home Affairs conceded she was never implicated in the birth registration fraud, it declared her a prohibited person after a fraudulent bank statement was allegedly submitted as part of a visa application while living in Nigeria. Her lawyers maintain the document was submitted by an immigration agency that handled the visa application. The Department of Home Affairs lawyer, however, revealed at a last court appearance that Adechina had re-entered South Africa last year, despite being on a visa-restricted list, as it bids to have her detained while it pursues her deportation. Camry Clark, Eyewitness News.
Joburg Metro Police have arrested a suspect with possible links to a suspected gang shooting in Westbury that claimed 4 lives over the weekend. The suspect was arrested in Lenasia South yesterday and found in possession of an illegal revolver with its serial number filed off. He then led officers to a second firearm stash where a Tommy gun and live ammunition were also recovered. The JMPD says the suspect is currently only facing firearms-related charges while police investigate his alleged links to the Westbury shooting. Spokesperson Xolani Fihla.
The JMPD remains steadfast in its commitment to restoring law and order, dismantling gang networks, and ensuring the safety of all Johannesburg communities. Members of the public are encouraged to continue reporting suspicious activity and illegal firearms to law enforcement.
DAMP and finance spokesperson Mark Berg says a fintech company he established has not been found guilty of acting illegally by the courts. He also says he's no longer the chairperson of Castello, which is under investigation by the South African Reserve Bank over exchange control regulation violations. Berg says he has also recused himself from discussions involving the Reserve Bank in Parliament to avoid any conflict of interest. Babalondenza reports.
Mark Berg broke his silence yesterday following reports of the Reserve Bank's investigation into Castello. The Reserve Bank accuses the company of allegedly attempting to circumvent the country's exchange control regulations in transactions valued at 4 billion rand. Castello and the Reserve Bank are also locked in a dispute over the freezing of the company's bank account. But Berg says neither he nor the company has been found guilty of any wrongdoing.
The High Court judgment does not make any finding of wrongdoing against Castello, nor myself, nor does the judgment constitute a finding that exchange control contraventions have been proven. The matter before the court concerned whether the Reserve Bank had grounds to issue a blocking order while its investigation continues. The court found that it did.
Meanwhile, parties like the ANC and the Good Party have called on Berg to be removed from Parliament's finance oversight structures, pending the investigation. Babalondenza, Eyewitness News.
And at least 9 people have died and several others injured after a fire broke out at a hotel in India. The fire department in West Bengal says 6 men, 2 women and a child have been rescued and taken to hospital. The cause of the fire is not yet known. A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures are at lows of 4 and 9 degrees, peaking at highs between 25 and 27.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N3 North. In fact, a stop and go between the Airlines Interchange and Modderfontein Road. That's due to an accident right near the Modderfontein Road turnoff, causing about a 20-minute hold-up. If you are traveling on the N1 South towards the Baklu turnoff, we've got delays between Allendale Road and the Baklu Interchange. That's due to roadworks.
The top story this hour, the Cape Town Regional Court is set to deliver judgment today on whether Chidima Adesina should be detained.
Local government elections aren't about politics. They're about the roads you drive every day, the water you need, the electricity you rely on, the rates you pay, the services you deserve. You see, local government isn't somewhere else. It's your neighborhood, your street, your home. So in the run-up to the local government elections, 702, Cape Talk and EWN will be where the issues that matter to you are put in the spotlight, where the tough questions are asked, where the crucial conversations begin, because this is more than local. It's personal. Follow every moment of the local government election on 702, Cape Talk and EWN.co.za. Download the EWN app.
The conversation doesn't stop when you get behind the wheel. With the Prime Media Plus app, you can now listen to 702 through CarPlay, Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto, seamlessly integrated into your vehicle. So no dropouts, no detours. Stay connected to the latest news, insightful conversations, and the voices you trust, all in crystal clear digital sound. Download the Prime Media Plus app today and take 702 wherever the road leads.
I'm a millionaire, and yes, I am a millionaire. And not a Mampara. I said goodbye to Mampara week long ago. And I know you're not a Mampara. Say it with me. I'm not a Mampara. Then go play the lotto for just 5 rand so that you're not weak on Mampara week. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sisekai.
Uncertainty is rising, but your business still has to deliver. Production targets need to be met. And when your workforce is out of balance, the cost is immediate. Too many employees? Costs climb. Too few? Productivity drops. Workforce staffing helps businesses stay in control with flexible workforce solutions, deployed within 48 hours nationwide. When demand changes, your workforce can change with it. Visit workforcestaffing.co.za. Stay productive, stay flexible, stay in control.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
I think people who live in Joburg know how deep the problems are. Well, what impact do you think this is having on the national economy?
The impact Johannesburg's precipitous decline is having is not something we can quantify for you. Countries need successful cities. They need growing, thriving cities, especially when they're an urbanizing country like South Africa.
Anne Bernstein's the Executive Director at the Centre for Development and Enterprise.
The Money Show.
The Money Show.
On Cape Talk.
Join the conversation.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by Absa Group and DHL Go Trade. Absa Group and DHL Express bring the Go Trade Fellowship to support African SMEs in trading beyond borders, combining Absa's financial expertise with DHL's global logistics capabilities. The partnership provides practical tools, trade knowledge, and training to help African SMEs reach global markets. Absa's a registered FSP.
702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa is brought to you by BCX. Built on trusted telecom business connectivity. Powered by cloud, strengthened by security, enabled by AI.
Bongs, you're talking of NSFAS. And your question is, what do we do about this? It's very simple, my guy. Very, very simple. We need to vote right. We need to apply our minds when we do our voting. Just look at 559 that was paid to intermediaries of NSFAS. 559 million. That has just been paid to intermediaries. No service provided there. Just intermediaries. Why do you have to have intermediaries when scores of students are suffering? Guys, let's vote right. Let's vote right.
Good morning, Bongani. Bongani, first, I think when you get these people on the show to come on, you need to ask them, how much do they care about the funds that are being spent by the state, because I think these people just don't care. 5.1 billion to him is insignificant. He doesn't see it as important. Any loss to him it's just a loss we can recover, because it's not their money, it's not their business they are driving into the ground. So like, we really need to start asking these people serious questions. That, do you take the state serious? Because I don't think they do. I just think they think everything is just, it's their right.
Reason where we are dealing with what we are doing with what we are dealing with in this country, it's because of the ignorance of the people who are leading us. I mean, the ignorance of this guy. He doesn't see anything wrong because his children are not affected. His children are not affected. His children are not the one who are sharing, who are sleeping at the library, making copies, dropping out and not finishing their diplomas. The ignorance of this guy, this government is ignorant, and it's sad.
Bongani, this is a disaster, man. I can't believe this guy is saying he doesn't see NSFAS as a complete disaster. And that for me is the worrying point. What does it qualify as a disaster in his definition? And the fact that he talks about the failure of internal controls of NSFAS, that for me on its own just shows a complete breakdown. So I'm not sure what is his definition of disaster. Sepo here from Branston.
Great question, Tsepo. Maybe that's one I should have asked, hey? All right, if you don't think this is a disaster, what would a disaster actually look like? What would it look like if it was a disaster then in your eyes? Perhaps that's a question I should have asked. Great one, Tsepo.
702.
What's the question?
What's the question is brought to you by Outsurance, a chance for you to win up to 3,000 Rand in cash. First, 1,000 Rand for the answer, and then 2,000 Rand later for the answer. For the question. 1,000 for the answer, 2,000 for the question. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask Outsurance for 500 Rand. Ugochi is in Centurion. Please give us today's answer.
Hello, Bongani. Today's answer is 1977.
1977. And tell me, Ugochi, have you received a quote from Outsurance?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
You biscuit. 1,000 Rand is coming your way, my friend. All thanks to Outsurance and 702. There you have it. Today's answer is 1977. What could the question be? Do you know? Well, if you do, ring, ring, ring. 011 883 0702.
EWN Sport.
I mean, on Saturday night, if you are doing anything, assuming, of course, you didn't have the luxury of going to Ellis Park, but if you're doing anything else on Saturday night, then I don't know, Cindy.
Yeah.
I really just don't know.
5 o'clock on Saturday. You know, there are people in this country, Bongani, who don't care about rugby, and I feel sad every day for people who don't like sport.
But I can almost accept that, right? I can almost accept, you know, like those people who are not into sport, but when it's a World Cup, they watch.
Or Wimbledon.
Yeah, this is that.
Yes, this is that.
This is that. So you may not even like rugby, but trust me, this is that.
This series is that. You said it so well. And Springbok Grant Williams says, if selected to face the to face the All Blacks on Saturday, it will, as always, be an honour to play for the Springboks, and admitted that there's family bragging rights on the line.
It goes deeper than that. Like, you have family members that are All Black supporters, you have close members that are All Black supporters. It will give us, or myself, give me bragging rights if we can get one up on them in the family. So yeah, it will be a massive honour and privilege if selected, obviously. I know the squad is only coming out on Thursdays.
While All Blacks assistant coach Tano Maga confirmed Damien McKenzie, who has an ankle injury, is not ruled out yet.
He got through what he needed to get through, so he's trending well for being available for this weekend. So, and that's all we can ask. Our medical staff have done a really good job, as well as our S&C, to make sure that they're taking every precaution they can, but making sure that he puts his best foot forward to be available for the team.
In football, Senegal has appointed former France and Arsenal midfielder Patrick Vieira as national head coach, while Barcelona officially unveiled Rodri, signing a 4-year deal from Manchester City for £65 million.
Of course, it's a mix of feelings. It's the end of a fantastic journey for me, where I've been incredible, happy, me and my family, proud of what I've done with all my teammates all around these years. Of course, really sad leaving probably the place in my life where I've been more happy and more succeed, and words are difficult right now to describe feelings.
In the Betway Premiership tonight, Sundowns are hosting Murrumbidgee at 7:30, where a win would put Sundowns level at the top with Pirates, Chiefs and Amazulu. At the Hockey World Cup, South African men's captain Dan Kassem earned his 100th Test cap in their 4-1 loss to Ireland. The women lost to India 6-1. Live Test cricket where Sri Lanka are now 143 for 5 on day 5. They need a further 229 to beat India in the first Test. Later, England hosts Pakistan in the first Test. In tennis at the Cincinnati Masters, the women's top seeds cruising to the last 16, Sabalenka, Goff, Andreeva and Kostyuk. On the men's side, also through Aguila, Sim, Fritz and Musetti. And at the Nedbank Golf Challenge in December, Christopher Rayton will be back to defend his title, while Bryson DeChambeau confirming he'll make his debut at the tournament. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
14 to 8, let's catch up with the roads that crash on the N3 North. Amu?
Bongani, it's still causing heavy delays, particularly coming out of Van Buren Road in the Bedford View area. About a 20-minute hold up there. The N12 and the R24 West is also backed up as a result. If you are traveling out of Benoni, do expect delays on the N12 West coming out of the R23. There's also queuing traffic in Boksburg along the N17 between Osborne Road and Wits Rifles Road. That's due to long-term roadworks along this route. Then traveling in the Waterfall area, we've got more delays due to roadworks. This is along the N1, both directions heavily backed up between the Baku turn off and Allendale Road. Please drive with care. If you want to avoid this backlog, you still can use the R55 as well as Pretoria Main Road. More updates coming up. Do stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Mandy Wiener's podcast, The Hope Dealers, tells the stories of the people changing their narrative in Joburg. Mandy has spent weeks witnessing the passion and the collective action of the Hope Dealers, who are individuals and organizations working to restore and rejuvenate Jozi. Catch a new episode of the podcast on the Midday Report every Wednesday after the news headlines, or watch the full The Hope Dealers video on Prime Media Plus. This week, Mandy is at City Kids, an inner city school quietly changing young lives in the heart of Joburg. City Kids demonstrate that a different future is possible in one of the toughest parts of the city. The Hope Dealers on Prime Media Plus.
Can you really take a chance with your business security? With Nashua, you can confidently protect your people and assets with leading CCTV and surveillance technology. Manage staff access and attendance in real time and monitor your vehicles on the move. All supported with backup power solutions to avoid downtime. Reliable tech to secure your business. Nashua. More than print.
Hi, this is Teko Modise, Hollywood Bet's brand ambassador. Be a winner who knows when it's time for a timeout and play responsibly. If you or someone you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling Toll-Free Counseling Line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No person under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
702.
What's the question?
For 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Artsurance, please tell me what's the question. If the answer is 1977. Let's go to Hlengiwe in Centurion. Hlengiwe, what's the question?
The question is, on which year did Patti LaBelle release her self-titled album following the breakup of her group LaBelle?
Yeah, indeed. It was 1977. Miss Patty went solo. And of course, that self-titled album featured this amazing, amazing hit. You Are My Friend. Oh, man. Patti LaBelle has some real tea because she's been in the business for a very, very long time. Listen to this interview a couple of years ago from a podcast called Drink Champs, in which she opened up about the infamous feud between herself and Ms. Diana Ross.
Oh my Lord, I forgot this real story. We're in Cleveland, ready to go on. There are only 3 Patti LaBelle members. Cindy Birdsong had gone to take Florence Ballard's place with the Supremes. They had been rehearsing her for months. And that night she left us. Oh,
to join the Supremes?
She left us to go with the Supremes. She jumped ship big time.
Benedict
I forgot
Arnold.
to tell that story. Okay, so the thing was, after it all settled in my bones, I said, thank God she's making more money with them than she was with me. So it was a blessing for her, but do it the right way.
Right.
And Diane, don't come stealing my chicks in the night.
Right.
So she stole Cindy Birdsong from me. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was a no-no. That would be a no-no, baby. But that happened.
Sometimes you forget about these things, do you not? Now, OUTsurance knows insurance isn't tested on promises. It's tested when it's time to claim. The Ombudsman, an independent body that rules on complaints, confirmed in their 2025 annual report that OUTsurance had the lowest overturned ratio of complaints received. The question is, are you with the insurer that treats their clients the fairest? OUTsurance delivers when it's time to claim. So why don't you switch for peace of mind? Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za today. OUTsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
I'm a millionaire, and yes, I am a millionaire. And not a Mampara. I said goodbye to Mampara week long ago. And I know you're not a Mampara. Say it with me. I'm not a Mampara. Then go play the lotto for just 5 rand so that you're not weak on Mampara week. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sisekai.
Happiness starts in the garden. It starts with the first herbs you pick for tonight's dinner, the color that welcomes you home after a long day, and the simple joy of watching something you planted begin to grow. Enjoy 25% off all seedling 6-packs and herbs at Stodels, Bryanston and Ferndale. Plus compost 30 DM, 4 bags for 100 Rand. Visit Stodels Garden Centre before 23 August. Stodels, create happiness.
Smart business moves save money. Switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Here's Stephen from the Villa Rosa.
I was with my previous insurer for 8 years and then I switched to OUTsurance Business Insurance. I'm very happy with the premiums and switching was the best decision we ever made.
Get a quote to switch and save today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
702
702. What's gone viral?
with Kabazela.
Time now for the world of viral content. Kabazela.
Good morning to you, Bella.
There will be signs. There will be signs.
Sometimes they're good signs and there could be bad signs. So when you walk into a company and you could be there for a job interview or you could be there for an appointment, you'll look around and you'll think, this must be a very good company to work for. And the reason why I'm asking this morning is I came across a TikTok video by Sia Mhlanga. And he posts a video of him walking and a caption over the video, and it says, "I knew I interviewed for the right company when I asked the cleaner where to catch a taxi. And she said, I don't know, I use Uber." So for him, that is a good sign for, in terms of how maybe the cleaners are paid at the company. And that, in terms of the comments, came up quite a bit. People looking at the cleaners and, if cleaners have cars or not. So I found that quite interesting. And a couple of the other comments here that people said when they've gone for interviews. I know a company that covers flights, hotel accommodation for the duration of the interview and the selection process, even for internships. which is quite impressive. Another one said here, when they asked me if I have a passport, and I said no, they said, you need to get one. Because obviously there'll be lots of international flights and trips for business, I suppose. So what are those things for you when you walk into a company or you've gone for interviews and you look around and you think, this is the place to be. This company treats their employees very well.
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think for me, it's the cafeteria area. Is there a coffee shop maybe? I look for that kind of thing. Who and how you are treated at reception also matters to me.
It does.
What are some of the signs that give you positive vibes that this could be a good company to work for when you first arrive? For whatever reason, interview, meeting, let us know. And diner and a rave.
Dinner and a rave. So this is an interview that Nicole Kidman had done with Vogue, UK Vogue magazine. And, you know, they were talking about various things in her life. But she said for something that she needs in her life to keep herself a little bit sane from time to time, this is what she says. She needs dinner at 10:30 p.m., the club at 1 a.m. Then she says, I put on glasses. Sometimes I'll wear a little dark wig to hide. And then I can just dance. As long as I'm surrounded by people that she takes with her, then she's fine. She says, I just need it. Now, I don't think she's doing that every night. She is 59, by the way. And this is what she needs in her life sometimes to stay a little bit sane. A lot of criticism from people saying, 59, out at the club at 1 a.m. I mean, each to their own, right? But what are those things in your life that you need in your life? Because work is hard. Running your life is hard. And, you know, things sometimes just get a little bit too much for you. And then you need something in your life just to escape a little bit, you know, a couple of hours, maybe 30 minutes, even if it's as little as that makes you feel human again. It's just something that you need just to make you feel
alive
good
again.
And escape reality.
It's a Friday afternoon, just towards sunset, a bubble bath, soaking in it with a glass of red vino because it's a Friday evening, with music playing in the background. I'm not talking to anyone. I'm just sitting there soaking in and thinking, the week was over. That makes me feel alive. And to be perfectly clear, there's nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong with being 40-11 and going to clubs if you so choose. Kabazela, you will get there very soon, my friend. All right, those are Kabazela's questions. What are the signs it's a good place to work for when you first arrive at a building? And what are the things in your life that help you to feel free, escape reality, the thing that keeps you sane?
702 Feedback
with Rupfiwa.
I know, Rupfiwa, if I say what keeps you sane, you're going to say my children. And I would want to fight and say they make you insane. Typically.
What keeps me sane is just having a very restful weekend. It's not busy. There's not too much to do. Whatever it is that I want to do, I can do.
Until the kids say, take me there. Let's go do this. Let's go do that.
I don't mind that.
Let's go to bounce.
I wouldn't mind that as well, Bongani.
Do you bounce with them?
Sometimes, yes.
Those trampoline parks, I tell you. All right, what else have you got?
Bongani, listeners are reacting to the big interview this morning, indicating that Tebogo seems to be a little bit out of touch with the realities that students are actually facing. They say that he's cadre deployment and he's sticking up for the ruling party at this case in point. They also don't understand why NSFAS has so many intermediaries that they have to deal with, saying that it adds on a layer of administration, fees and costs that are unnecessarily spent. NSFAS should just have a whole system that can work out fully and can be traced. All the funds can be traced from beginning to end. And also, Bongani, listeners are reacting to your question about poverty, saying that even though you're working in this day and age, if you can't stretch your salary to the next month, if you can't save even a little bit out of that salary, that is a definition of poverty, Bongani.
We asked that question, of course, in light of the changes around who gets free electricity and what definitions of poverty might be. What is your definition of poverty in 2026? And has it changed from what it used to be? It's 8 o'clock.
This is EWN.
NSFAS is warned to follow the rules to protect students and universities, and Fadil Adams is expected to begin with his testimony at the Madlanga Commission. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. The National Council for Higher Education says students suffer the most from failures at NSFAS following a damning public protector report showing governance and administrative shortcomings at the embattled entity. The report found that 40,000 qualifying students were unfunded despite a 3 billion rand allocation between 2024 and 2027 aimed at supporting the missing middle. It also cited findings by the Special Investigating Unit detailing another 40,000 students were improperly funded at an estimated cost of 5 billion rand. Public Protector Kollega Galeka says there are shortcomings in the way student financial aid is managed and delivered. National Council for Higher Education member Linda Meyer says the best way to deal with this is to improve payment systems.
Access cannot be expanded through policy commitments that are not supported by adequate funding, dependable systems, and the institutional capacity to deliver.
Meanwhile, student leaders at the Cape Peninsula University of Technology are adamant that no one will vacate residencies today, despite the institution's order for them to leave by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The university sent messages yesterday following ongoing protests and the torching of a building at the Bellville campus on Monday. Students have been protesting over a proposed financial recovery plan that would have required them to pay up to 7,000 rand at registration next year, which has since been withdrawn. Students have now taken their plight to Parliament. Mitha George reports.
About 500 students marched to Parliament yesterday to hand over a memorandum to the Higher Education Portfolio Committee. The memorandum, with 23 demands, was received and signed by the committee chairperson. The list includes a request for the committee to intervene and investigate issues relating to the CPUT's finances, the management of funds allocated to meet students' needs, and the employment of some members of the university management. Central SRC President Liabulela Gela says the university management decided to evacuate residences because they don't know how to address their demands.
Perhaps maybe this is their opportunity to make sure that there's no students on campus so that they can proceed their steps of approval of the financial recovery program. It's very simple. It is not going to happen.
Gela says the move will place further financial strain on the institution.
And this is perhaps one of the things that have caused the university to be in financial crisis now, because in 2023 they did exactly the same thing that they did now.
The students have given the Higher Education Portfolio Committee until next Tuesday to respond to their demands. Mitha George, Eyewitness News.
Suspended Member of Parliament Fadil Adams is set to appear at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry today. Proceedings are expected to focus on both police misconduct and Adams' report to the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption, which implicated senior crime intelligence officers in wrongdoing. Karinda Jagmohan reports.
In 2024, Fadil Adams, armed with what he said were confidential reports, opened 6 criminal cases between Cape Town and Soweto against crime intelligence head Dumisani Khumalo and his colleagues, accusing them of misconduct. When the SAPS refused to take the matter further, Adams approached IDAC. His report was among factors which sparked IDAC's arrest over the appointment of Brigadier Dineo Mokwele. The state is now withdrawing the charges, following testimony of former IDAC head Andrea Johnson.
Here I brought a subjective mind to bear on the information the person gave us.
And Advocate Johnson, that is apparent because that's his personal view without
Correct.
grounds to support that.
Meanwhile, Adams has already been reprimanded by Justice Madlanga over his late submission of an affidavit last week. Karinda Jagmohan, Eyewitness News.
And a federal court in the U.S. has heard that social media giant Meta knowingly hooked and exploited children. This was heard during a trial against the company on charges that it deliberately made Instagram and Facebook addictive to young users. A coalition of states is asking the Meta company to be penalized by around $200 billion for designing products that are addictive to children. During opening statements in court, California prosecutor Megan O'Neill said Meta exploited how kids' brains work. Meta acknowledged that some users had negative experiences on the apps, but argued that the company tried to come up with tools to help them. It's also denied the allegations, insisting it had worked with parents, experts, and law enforcement to incorporate safeguards for children. Parents demonstrated outside court, detailing how their children were affected.
He was almost 16 when he took his own life after a 5-hour encounter with an adult criminal posing as a beautiful young woman.
We know it was the predictable outcome of a platform Meta knew harmed children, while none of the rest of us had any idea.
Zuckerberg looked the public in the eye and said their platforms were safe. Well, Mark, look me in the eye because you're a liar.
Gold is trading at $4,336.33 an ounce. The rand is at 16.25 to the dollar, 22.01 to the pound, 18.83 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $91.49 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays in Sunny Hill along the N1 North approaching the Baklu interchange. There's also queuing traffic along the N3 North between Marlborough Drive and the Baklu turnoff.
And in your sport, Mamelodi Sundowns are hosting Maruma Gallants tonight with a chance to go level with the 3 league leaders. Senegal appoints Patrick Vieira as national head coach, and Venus Williams has been given a wildcard entry to the US Open starting on Sunday.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 25 and 27 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: the National Council for Higher Education says students suffer the most from failures at NSFAS following a damning public protector report showing governance and administrative shortcomings at the embattled entity.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. Everything you need to know about the local government elections is on 702 Cape Talk and ewn.co.za. Because this is more than local. It's personal.
This is 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa, brought to you by BCX. Built on trusted connectivity, powered by cloud, strengthened by security, enabled by AI.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Institutions ordering students to vacate by 4 p.m. or else. Those students, desperate. Where do they go? They go to Parliament. What are they hoping will happen in Parliament? If not the minister who's responsible for higher education, certainly the portfolio committee that is meant to hold that ministry accountable might. Except the chairperson of that committee doesn't think all of this is a disaster. How? 40,000 students improperly funded at the cost of 5 billion rand a year. No, not a year, beg your pardon. A cost of 5 billion rand. What does that mean? It means there's another 40,000 that the system deemed were deserving of that money, who did not get the money. Now, we can quibble about the 40,000 that got the funds and say, well, they were able to produce documents and they try to jib the system. But the point is, there's 40,000 students who didn't get the funding they were due. But it's not a disaster. Now, what do you think the students at the Cape Peninsula University of Technology might think when the parliamentary oversight body is chaired by somebody who doesn't think this is a disaster? They're still marching to Parliament. For now. But in the words of James Baldwin, might it be the fire next time?
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
8:09. On a lighter note, Kabazela wants to know, what are the things in your life that just help you to feel free, man? Free of the stress, free of the reality, free of the responsibility. What are those things for you? Nicole Kidman, the Hollywood star, puts on dark glasses and a wig and goes clubbing at 1 a.m. and nobody knows it's her, and she just has a grand old time. Next time you go to the clubs, Amo, look for a very pale, freckled white woman, quite skinny, very statuesque and tall, in a wig and dark glasses, and say, hey, are you Nicole? No, don't do that.
Of course not.
What makes you feel free? How do you just let go and just enjoy a moment for yourself? What is that for you? I mentioned Friday afternoons.
Yeah.
That first glass of wine just as the sun is setting, soaking in a hot bath. And maybe that works in winter. Probably won't so much in the summer, right? A glass of red wine. What is it for you, Mateo?
The fact that we knock off early, I get to do things that I like. I could watch a movie during the day. It's not packed. I'm alone. There's no one making a conversation behind me.
You mean at the cinemas?
Yeah.
Or rattling popcorn.
Or rattling popcorn.
And there's no queue.
There's no queue. You can sit down for a meal alone and just reflect during the day while other people are working. So sometimes it's the perks. Man.
You go, this is the life.
Yeah.
It's the perks.
I have to say, for me, it's when I'm shopping by myself without the kids.
Yes. Yes.
Because then I don't have to manage people. I don't have to, counsel them to say, no, we're not getting this toy for you today. No, I'm by myself and I'm buying things for myself. And
I've shared this before.
Yeah.
Here's a trick. I used to say to my daughter, no, these things belong to the shop. Which they do.
Yeah,
it wasn't
they
a
do.
lie.
But the stuff that you're paying
And
for
then
at
I
the
used to
till.
say, those are ours.
Okay.
So I used to say, imagine if somebody came to the house and took all your things. So these things belong to, I know you want it, but they belong to the shops. And she reminded me not too long ago, like how could you? She wanted to smack me.
Morning, Bongani and the listeners. This is Mnedisi here. For me, going into any interview, the parking lot, for me, is the first thing that I look at. What cars are parked there? What do the employees of that company drive? I mean, if I see, decent cars, not really fancy, but decent cars, then I'm thinking, they must be, paying them fairly. But if I see there's only the boss's car and the rest are using taxis, then I'm starting to think, really? Are they getting paid well?
Good morning, Bongani and the team. I'd like to respond to Kabazela's question of what do you look at a company when you're going for an interview? On my end, I'm not going to lie. The first thing I look at when I go for an interview is the parking lot. I want to see what's happening at the parking lot, what type of cars are there, and then I'll see, okay, we're good, we're happy here.
Morning, Bongani. For me, when going for an interview, I always look at the parking lot. What are they driving? That's a sign of a good paying company. Jabulani from Whiteville in Pinoni.
Good morning, Kabazela and Bele. One indicator that shows that a company is doing well or you are being interviewed at a good company, yes, is the parking lot. You must just go check. There must not be those standard cars of ours and proper middle class-ish type of cars. And two, if there is an internal canteen where they give food for free, and as well as having a lobby. So many companies don't have lobbies. You can just tell, like, here you're going to struggle to feel it from Boxbook.
The sign that I saw that I'm working for a good company, it's when I went to the toilet or the bathroom. So where you do your number 2, the door there, it has a hanger behind it. So it means you have to hang your suit there before you can sit down. So I'm like, okay. This is a very, very good company. Most companies don't have those.
Maybe you look for puppies in the toilet, hey? Puppies in the toilet, you get it? The toilet paper with the puppies on it? Yes, absolutely. A place to hang your jacket in the bathroom. That's certainly one. Disability access is one. What do you look for? When you go to a building, Maybe you're going there for a business deal or an interview, and you just want to check it out. What are the signs that this is a place you want to do business in? These are people you want to work with. What are those signs for you? A lot of people saying the cars will indicate the type of pay people are getting. I used to work for a broadcaster, and names shan't be mentioned. Gosh, and the cars in that parking lot in those days. But Asikalapo.
And you also got paid,
Touche.
I think for me, it's the reception area. So because that's the area you're going to be sitting at in any case, just look at the receptionist, look at the people walking in and the area that you're in. If it feels like, it's a good area to sit, you could sit there for 20 minutes. It's not uncomfortable. The receptionist, you can tell that she's glowing, she's great, she welcomes you.
And is she in charge?
Yeah, is she in charge?
Is she in charge? Is she mousy, a little scared?
Then you know.
Or do you know that if she says sit over there, you are going to sit over there?
Yeah, then
because it's her or his
Territory.
area. Yeah, territory.
But I think also if things are functioning, if the lift is working, if there's there's escalators, if they are working, if the bathrooms are clean, for me, that's a sign that, okay, things are looking good here. Because there are companies where, you are told the lift is not working and you can see that it doesn't look like this one is going to get fixed anytime soon.
Or there's a bucket.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
In the corridor.
To collect water.
Yeah, because
from
the
a leaking
ceiling. Oh, gosh.
Let's talk.
We're listening.
Good morning, Bongani and the team. Kilebufile from Guatemala. My definition of poverty, and I don't know if I can really say mine, but it is how the unemployed and mostly black males that I see in my township are always drunk on a Saturday, or how they always seem to have alcohol, but they are unemployed. They are, from the clothes they wear, you can tell that the money is an issue, but yet they always seem to have money for alcohol, and it might even be more poverty of the mind than poverty of the stomach.
Morning, Bongani. Good morning, Senator. The thing is that they put people forward on a podium to speak about poverty, which is something they're not experiencing or they have not experienced. You cannot ask a man to explain what is happening when a woman is feeling his own period pains. I mean, we don't know. We just see it happening, but we don't know how it feels. So poverty, you can have a fridge, you can have TV, you can have whatever that he mentioned. By the end of the day, poverty cannot be substituted by you owning those things, because that phone could be on and with no data or airtime. So the purpose of having a phone doesn't even correspond to a phone that could be mentioned as he does. Okay, thank you. It's way from Katlo.
Good morning, 702. My definition of poverty is not knowing where your next meal is going to come from, and also not having a roof above your head. I have experienced that, so I know exactly how it feels. And also looking at your parent and seeing them hopeless, not knowing what they need to do for their own children to survive. So that's a definition of poverty for me.
Yesterday, of course, Electricity and Energy Minister Dr. Joseanzo Ramagopa gave a briefing on South Africa's revised electricity pricing policy, and he's essentially announced a proposed overhaul of who gets free basic electricity. And he says the modern household has changed. Who was poor in 2001 is perhaps defined a little differently these days.
The profile of consumption has changed. That the poor, as we understood them previously, has changed significantly to today. That even under conditions of difficulty and strain, they've got a television set, they've got a cell phone, they've got a fridge, they've got an electric kettle, they've got the television, like I've mentioned. And that was not in our earlier computation of about 2001 or so, when we put together the free basic dispensation. We say on account of that, there's a basis for us to increase the free basic allocation. And we are putting in the policy that it will be within a range of 200 kilowatt hour to 300 kilowatt hour per month per household that qualifies.
When you hear there's a fridge, there's a big television, there are phones, electric kettles. I mean, certainly when I was growing up, those things were not things poor people had. But of course, again, the availability of all of those in terms of, the mass market means a lot more people can afford them, right? Supply and demand. There were fewer people who had those things when I was growing up because not everybody could afford them. They weren't freely or readily available, right? I can't think of a scenario today in which, your standard brick house, and of course there'll be exceptions, but generally your standard bricks and mortar house would have a television set almost anywhere in the country today. Whereas that was not the case 15, 20 years ago. Oh, wait, was I still growing up then?
EWN Traffic.
21 after 8, the CWN Traffic brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142. And you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, you can ask them for 500 Rand. Diepsloot area, there are delays there.
That's correct, Bongani. On the N14 East, a major accident right near the R511 Winnie Mandela Drive. About a 20-minute hold up there. So if you're heading towards the city of Tshwane, please try to use the N1 North instead. I mean, you'll be stuck for a bit of a delay due to the roadworks that are taking place right near Allendale Road. And there's also queuing traffic reported on the N1 North. This is just as you approach the Baklu turnoff coming out of Rivonia Road due to peak time delays. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance Postman can't help you file your taxes on time, but they can get the traffic flowing smoothly so you get home with enough time to work on it. The Outsurance Pointsmen are real heroes in green and purple, easing traffic congestion and making our lives easier for almost 21 years. Just another way you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
702, The World View.
With Adam Gilchrist.
All right, let's start with news from elsewhere in the world. Adam, let's continue along these lines. We've been talking about the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and now the US Vice President has weighed in.
Well, in this case, I was going to talk about the threat to the UK made by the Russian embassy here in London. So this is after the confirmation that British-made drones had been used in recent Ukrainian strikes in Russia, some deep into Russian territory. But the Russian embassy has accused Britain of, quote, deliberately opting for an escalation of the Ukraine crisis. Not sure how much of an escalation it is when Britain had already been sending Storm Shadow missiles, and indeed Russia had protested about that. But I guess if drones are now being used deep into Russian territory, it's hurting. As the Russian embassy put it, the deeper the UK's involvement in the conflict, the higher the price it will pay. Obviously, you don't want to go around poking a bear and antagonizing it, but at the same time, is this just a bear roaring from the sidelines? We know that Russian ships and planes have encroached into all sorts of NATO countries' air and sea spaces. Cyber spies and hackers are at it all the time. Intelligence services say that we're already targeted here. It's not a question of if, it is a question of it's now. So, yeah, I guess we take it with a pinch of salt. Otherwise, what else do? We run for the hills.
Yeah, I mean, because there's the consideration that this may just be messaging for, the domestic scenario in Russia as the war becomes increasingly unpopular there. Or indeed, if they are serious, Adam, you do run for the hills, don't you? But also, again, with the UK being a NATO member country, how seriously could those threats be taken from Russia? All right, tell me about a very Chinese funeral.
Very Chinese in the sense that it was been heavily censored and not a lot of information came out. No video footage, no personal tributes. There were some tributes online, they got removed. This is about mourning the former Chinese premier Zhu Rongji. He died last week at the age of 97. He was top dog in China, I confess. I couldn't have said this off the top of my head, but he was Chinese premier from 1998 to 2003. Have we all forgotten Zhu Rongji? He was in charge of China at a time of transition. They were only just becoming economically aware. They weren't yet a powerhouse on the world stage, as they are indeed now. But Zhu is remembered as an economic reformer, and whilst the official statement only refers to him as an outstanding member of the Chinese Communist Party, there are plenty of others who remember him rather nostalgically. As an economist in China, Zhao Jian, put it, Zhu's era was at a time when people were properly poor, but they saw a clear future ahead. Again, as Zhao Jian put it in his online forum, there were no smartphones back then, there were no short-form videos, there were no screens filled by purveyors of anxiety, and people could say what they really thought. Needless to say, that was a comment instantly deleted from WeChat. It just seems like China is avoiding any reference to the past, lest it doesn't look so good for the present.
Yeah, indeed, President Xi Jinping would be worried about any criticism. So I would imagine a lot of those will be censored, Adam. Death, of course, is never an excuse.
Or is it? You'd sort of think it should be. But here we have a customer who cheated death. She was shopping at a supermarket and she collapsed outside in the supermarket car park. A 54-year-old woman, she fell ill. Other shoppers stopped to help. One of them did chest compressions before the paramedics turned up. The woman's dad says paramedics later told him her heart had stopped and that momentarily she was technically dead. It didn't stop the car park where she had parked her car from giving her an $80 fine. That's an 80 New Zealand dollar fine, about 760 Rand, because she had officially only been allowed an hour and a half worth of parking in the supermarket car park, but she was there for 6. Well, of course she was, because she was being brought back to life by paramedics and ultimately went for a hospital checkup. And by the time she got back to her car, there was the penalty on the windscreen. Clearly, the car park company does not have a beating heart, unlike her, as it turns out.
She rose again, didn't she? Adam Gilchrist with this morning's Worldview.
EWN Business.
Not quite orange is the new black, Muta Horipe. I would say red is.
Yes, definitely. Top 4 banks, that is ABSA recording record earnings. The lender saying it saw its earnings go up 8% to 12.8 billion rand. Its local operations here in South Africa are rising to 9 billion rand. The bank's rest of Africa business saw profits fall by 10%, partly because of interest rate cuts in areas like Kenya and Ghana. ABSA ramped up its related IT spend by 7% to 8.8 billion rand during the 6 months ended in June, seeing a rise in digital use. Net customer loans and advancements expanded by 6%, and customer deposits also increased by 5% during the period. Now, ABSA still expects South Africa's economy to grow by around 1.5% this year, supported by an improvement in electricity supply, transport, and other infrastructure.
Job cuts.
Yeah, major job cuts for especially liquor makers. We're seeing another one come through saying they're going to be cutting jobs. Beer and spirits maker Diageo shrunk its workforce by almost 2,000 people in its last financial year as new chief executive Sir Dave Lewis embarks on an aggressive cost-cutting plan. The maker of Guinness and Johnny Walker had an average of 27,938 full-time employees. This is a 6% drop from last year's 29,800 workers. Despite the reduction in headcount, Diageo reported that average staff costs rose by $2.4 billion. Now, since taking over in January, CEO Dave Lewis has pledged to stem several years of profit declines by cutting $1 billion in costs over the next 3 years. The move is expected to result in thousands more jobs being cut by the company. Diageo saying they want to implement an operating model that overhauls the supply chain. So really cutting down the workforce as demand for alcohol also drops amongst different segments.
Your indicator, demand for the rand, dropping or up?
still there, holding on to very marginal gains at 16 Rand 26 against the US dollar, 18 Rand 84 against the euro, 22 Rand 2 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $4,336 an ounce, or platinum is at $1,718. Brent crude at $91.75 a barrel. That's your morning business. Stephen Grotes with more this afternoon.
Straight to the news desk we go. Sfisa Zulu, what do you have at this hour?
Thanks, Bongani. Good morning. Well, one of the prosecutors in the controversial fraud and corruption case involving several crime intelligence officials has admitted to being under immense pressure from the NPA to withdraw the matter. Advocate Joy Tlachoyo, in correspondence seen by EWN, told the lawyer representing Crime Intelligence Brigadier Dineo Mukweli that she wants to get to the matter, or the matter out of hand, or out of the way at least. Tlachoyo and Advocate Drushinta Ramsamy led the state's case against Mukweli, Crime Intelligence Head Dumsani Kumalo, and other officials in a matter centered on Mukweli's appointment. The NPA has since confirmed it will unconditionally withdraw the case this Friday, clearing the way for Mukweli and her co-accused to walk free. Koskona Malingamnisi has the story.
The withdrawal follows representations made by Mukweli as well as damning evidence presented at the Madlanga Commission that has cast serious doubt on IDEC's case. The commission has heard evidence that Mukweli was not only qualified for the position but overqualified. It also emerged that the anti-corruption unit may have moved ahead of itself by charging the accused over an alleged offence that had not materialized. After the NPA indicated that it intended to provisionally withdraw the case, Mukweli's lawyers wrote back to the authority seeking a permanent stay of prosecution, which has now been granted and will be placed on record on Friday. It remains unclear whether Mukweli and her co-accused will now take legal action against the state over the prosecution. Or see Kona Malingamnisi, Eyewitness News.
Pre-trial proceedings for the alleged mastermind in the murder case of popular DJ Warwick Stock are set to resume this morning at the Johannesburg High Court. This follows the conviction and sentencing of 25-year-old gunman Mozambican national Kwam Amardo Pakula for the murder. Waras was shot and killed in a contract hit in December last year in downtown Joburg. Demakatso Leshoro reports.
Pakula pleaded guilty to murder, unlawful possession of a firearm and ammunition, and contravening the Immigration Act. Last week, the Johannesburg High Court sentenced him to an effective 25 years in prison. The court heard that Pakula shot and killed DJ Waras outside the Zambezi building in the Johannesburg CBD last December. Under a plea and sentence agreement, Pakula admitted that he killed Stock in exchange for 25,000 rand. The state says investigations and the prosecution of the remaining accused are continuing. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News.
The Cape Town Regional Court is set to deliver judgment today on whether Nigerian pageant queen Chidimma Adesina should be detained pending potential deportation. The former Miss South Africa contestant was arrested in June for entering South Africa illegally through the Libombo border in Mozambique, despite being declared a prohibited person. Camry Clark has more.
The identity and travel documents of beauty queen Chidimma Adesina were cancelled in October 2024 after her mother was accused of fraudulently registering her birth to a South African woman. Adesina's legal team said that while the Department of Home Affairs conceded she was never implicated in the birth registration fraud, it declared her a prohibited person after a fraudulent bank statement was allegedly submitted as part of a visa application while living in Nigeria. Her lawyers maintain the document was submitted by an immigration agency that handled the visa application. The Department of Home Affairs lawyer, however, revealed at a last court appearance that Adesina had re-entered South Africa last year, despite being on a visa-restricted list, as it bids to have her detained while it pursues her deportation. Camry Clark, Eyewitness News.
And Liberia has confirmed it will receive up to 1,200 foreign nationals deported from the U.S. as President Donald Trump pursues an unprecedented immigration crackdown. The Trump administration has launched a sweeping expansion to deportations, where the government has argued it can send people to a country that is not their home nation. The first group of 20 deportees is expected to arrive in Liberia tomorrow, with the West African nation saying they will be free to leave the country when they want to. Ghana and Equatorial Guinea have become key transit points in the U.S. immigration crackdown, even as authorities there quickly send people onwards to their home countries. A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 25 and 27 degrees.
And in the traffic, we've got delays in Diepsloot due to a major accident seen right on the N14 East before the Winnie Mandela Drive exit. It's causing heavy delays. There's another accident seen reported on the N3 North. This one is right near Modderfontein Road, causing delays.
The top story this hour, one of the prosecutors in the controversial fraud and corruption case involving several crime intelligence officials has admitted to being under immense pressure from the NPA to withdraw the matter.
Hey guys, this is Robert Marawa, HollywoodBet's brand ambassador. Playing responsibly is part of the winning strategy. Make smart choices and continue to score. If you or someone that you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling Toll-Free Counseling Line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. HollywoodBet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
Looking for your next car? From affordable to fuel efficient or spacious, We Buy Cars has the right option for you. Browse over 15,000 vehicles on webuycars.co.za or visit one of their 20 branches nationwide. Plus, they offer finance solutions, insurance, warranties, and more for total peace of mind. Thinking of selling your car? Get an instant offer on webuycars.co.za.
People say you should stop and smell the flowers. Nobody said you couldn't buy 6 while you're at it. At Chamberlain's Blooming Goods Savings, get an assorted 6-cell seedling tray for only 29 Rand and a bag of Colterra compost for 25 Rand while stocks last. Plus friendly service and expert advice to help you choose exactly what your garden needs this spring. Visit your nearest Chamberlain from 13 August to 13 September. Stop and smell the flowers, all 6 of them. Chamberlain, famous for hardware since 1903.
So the other day I get this call from an insurance company. They asked if they could quote me. I said, quote me? I can't remember what I said. But if you're still thinking about it, it must have been pretty good. Mom always said I have a way with words. They just put down the phone. I don't get it.
Don't get that insurance. Get Pineapple. It's easy to get and online. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. T's and C's apply.
You're listening to 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa. Brought to you by BCX. Technology that helps organizations move forward.
Hi, Bongani. Vuisile. My sign of a good company to work for is when there is no designation in the parking area. By that, I mean manager, HR manager, what it means that everybody's being treated the same.
I also worked for this other company where the building was not up to scratch. The lift would get stuck for days. And yeah, the infrastructure was not so nice, but they paid very well. They paid really, really well. So sometimes it's not just the infrastructure or what you're seeing. There are instances like the one I just highlighted where the infrastructure might not be up to scratch, but they pay really, really, really well.
Hey, Belle, people mustn't be fooled. We went to interviews, brother. We went to Mateo. And the team, guys, you go for an interview, you see those flashy cars, beautiful canteen, jiggy, 3 months down the line, they can't even pay your salary. Hey, people mustn't be fooled. You must be very careful.
Hi, Bongani. Hi, team. On the flip side of things, Kabazela, the company you know not to work for is when you ask them, where do I park? And they show you the street. Thank you. Government work.
Hi, Bongani. Regarding interviews, I so wish there was a sign or a way where one could tell if the place is toxic or not. I'm not really worried about the parking. I'm not... look, I've seen beautiful office space, parking space, could tell that, yeah, we get paid. Even in an interview, you get told You're paid bonuses twice a year, and yet it is so toxic, Bongani, that every Sunday afternoon, just the thought of going back to work on Monday literally makes you sick. So I really wish there'd be a way for one to tell as you walk into that building to say, nah, run for your life, run for your mental health.
Sometimes the questions you're asked in that interview are a good enough indicator. Kabazela wants to know, when you walk into a building, maybe you're there for a job interview, maybe you're there for a business deal, what are the signs that make you feel like, okay, this is a lovely place you can work at? The parking lot is something people have mentioned. Did you know, for example, here's one, Amo. Did you know that in Japan, the tradition is, instead of getting designated parking, the earlier you arrive, because they're so polite, the earlier you arrive at whatever building, say your place of work, the further away you park. The thinking is
you still have enough time.
You've got enough time to walk to the entrance, to the lift or whatever.
Yeah.
But the people who are coming later are going to be in a hurry. And so in that society, there's no need for designated parking because the convenience is about when you arrive, not your position or title in the building.
EWN Sports.
Cindy, you often are asked sometimes to give talks in different places.
Yes.
What's your sense of, this is a good place to work for? These people look like they could be happy here.
It depends on how engaging the staff is and how actively enthusiastic they look. So if you walk into a place and the person who runs the place or the manager, etc., is, everybody greets them and everybody's engaged and you can see they're interacting with, people are coming up to them, chatting, you go, okay, cool. It's when there's no engagement, zero engagement from the person in charge, kind of like, oh, you just go in and do the talk, you'll be fine. And nobody's really making eye contact. I feel like that's how you know. And I think I once read somewhere in an interview process that if you really want to ask a good question, you should ask, when they say to you, do you have any questions? You should ask them, yes, where do you think I would struggle in this position? Or what do you think the obstacles are that I might face?
All right, let's talk sport. One of the things people will be looking at today is whether or not Themba Zwane will be playing for Sundowns today.
Absolutely, it's tonight, and they are hosting Marumagolante at 7:30, where a win for Sundowns would put them level at the top with Pirates, Chiefs and Amazulu. This was that one game they had in hand. Senegal has appointed former France and Arsenal midfielder Patrick Vieira as national head coach, while Barcelona yesterday completing the signing of Rodri from Manchester City. The excitement ahead of the first test between the Springboks and All Blacks on Saturday continues to build. Bok assistant coach Felix Jones says there's no underdog going into this game.
You can't really, I don't think anyone, when New Zealand plays South Africa, I don't know if any prep really replicates the level of intensity that you're going to experience. But I think both teams would say going into this game if they feel prepared.
Kickoff on Saturday is 5:30. Live test cricket where Sri Lanka are 174 for 6 on the final day, needing a further 197 to beat India in the first test. While it leads later, Joe Root's been reinstated as England captain. They're hosting Pakistan in the first test. At the Hockey World Cup, South Africa's men's captain Dan Kasim earned his 100th test cap. They lost to Ireland 4-1 in that match. The women lost to India 6-1. Here's captain Onatile Zulu.
Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed with our performance. We wanted to come out guns blazing today after yesterday's loss, and we really wanted a result out of this game. And I think, we just let the game slip away from us. I think we had our chances as well. India were very effective when they were in the circle and they took their shots and they scored. On the other hand, we didn't really take our opportunities and really be effective in the D. So, yeah.
And the US Open Tennis last Grand Slam of the year starts this Sunday. Venus Williams has been given a wild card entry along with Guy Monfils. And at the Nedbank Golf Challenge in December, Christopher Wrighton will be back to defend his title, while Bryson DeChambeau has confirmed he'll make his debut. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
16 minutes before 9 o'clock. Amon, let's wrap up the morning's traffic.
Well, Bongani, we still have got delays on the N12 West. This is between Atlas Road and the R21. That's due to an accident. There's also an accident scene reported in the Diepsloot area. That's right near Winnie Mandela Drive. It's causing about a 20-minute hold-up, so please be on the lookout there. And then, unfortunately, we still have got queuing traffic along the N3 North between Modderfontein Road and the Baku interchange due to another accident. More updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You hear that? That's the sound of business execution finally visible. No more chasing people and reports. No more disconnected systems. No more guessing if our business is performing or not. iStratGo connects strategy, people, performance, and day-to-day work into one clear software platform, so leaders can see what's working, what's not, and where to focus. Because when execution is visible, everything runs better. Book a demo on istratgo.com. ISTRATGO.com.
Mama million here, and yes, I am a millionaire. And not a Mampara. I said goodbye to Mampara week long ago. And I know you're not a Mampara. Say it with me. I'm not a Mampara. Then go play the lotto for just 5 rand so that you're not weak on Mampara week. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sisekhaya.
Cutting costs means more money for your business. Switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Here's Marshall from Bow Electrical.
I was with my other insurance for many years and then I switched to OUTsurance Business Insurance. It was a one quick call. They give me a great cover and a great price. Give them a call. You have nothing to lose. I wish I have switched sooner.
Get a quote to switch and save today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 0800 60,000. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
Coming up on the Clement Manyatela Show
on 702.
I'm reminded, actually, 14 minutes before the start of the Clement Manyatela Show, of an Instagram post some years ago. The celebrity, because what else would you call her, Bonang Mateba, when she was launching the House of B&G, she posted, "Girls with vineyards." And these days, boys have foundations.
Yeah, well, they will. From
I mean,
today.
How excited are you? All right, without being facetious now.
Yeah.
Clement Manyatela, you are launching the Clement Manyatela Foundation this evening. I'm certainly going to be here. Can you believe it, dragging me?
Yeah.
On a school night.
Yeah, that's
in
the least
evening.
you can do.
Yeah, no.
For a
of
colleague
course.
you love.
No, I'll be delighted to be there. Really excited about it. What can you tell us?
I mean, am I excited? I am, but I'm more nervous, to be honest with you, than anything else.
Why?
You know, I said to the team that's organizing it, I said, do I have to speak? And they said, are you crazy? So, yeah, I lost that battle. So I'm really looking forward. I think we're going to be able to touch some lives with this foundation.
What's the aim? What are you
focusing
focusing
on what I experienced growing up in a village in Vaalbank. I didn't have any career guidance. In fact, I often visit my school, my high school, when I go home, and I often speak to young kids there who still don't know what they want to study. They don't even know if they can turn their passions into careers. And I think these are forgotten schools in far-flung areas. And I want to be able to arrange career days. I want to expose them to career opportunities. So that's the first part of the foundation. But we're also going to provide psychosocial support to these learners in rural areas. Growing up in a village, I was exposed to so much trauma, whether it's violence, whether it's extreme poverty in my immediate family, the neighbors, and I didn't have anyone to talk to. And I think sometimes we take for granted the impact, whether socially, the challenges young people have on their education. So I've partnered with organizations that are going to take mobile clinics to rural areas. And when we adopt a school for 6 months or 8 months, we're going to have therapists there that these kids are going to have access to.
Sounds absolutely exciting and meaningful, and congratulations.
Thank you.
And we look forward to supporting you in whichever way you will need. So when that phone rings, we will answer. Now, what's on the show today?
On the show today, we're going to start with the 702 open line. And remember the lady who's been trending on social media who took our mic and is interviewing? How did our mic end up in KZN?
I wonder, because I said to Kabazela just the other day, there were 2 shows recently who were in KZN doing outside broadcasts.
Yeah.
It was Drive.
Wasn't mine.
And the CM.
No, I wasn't in KZN recently. This
Towards
year?
the end of last year.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. I suspect that this mic was lost at during the 702 Walk the Talk. So today we're going to be joined by this lady who's really been making us laugh at 9:30.
Have you flown her up? Is she coming up?
No.
Or should you call her from KZN?
We're calling her all the way from KZN, but she's going to be on Zoom. And she's going to join us at 9:30. And I want to know, where did you find this mic? And then we'll talk about the NPA's plans to drop charges in their entirety, unconditionally. They're going to withdraw the criminal case against the crime intelligence boss, Dumisani Kumalo, and his co-accused. At 10 o'clock, we're going to be live at the Madlanga Commission. Fadil Adams is back. His testimony begins today. But we'll also reflect on what happened yesterday. Those text messages, like, it's really crazy. And I'm going to play clips for the listeners today because I want to establish the links of all these people that are problematic characters to the leader of the EFF, Julius Malema. At 11 o'clock, we do our listener's choice feature. Today, we'll be talking about the Zondo recommendations. Remember the state capture recommendations? They recommended something on procurement, and that remains unimplemented. And I want to find out why. And then we're going to wrap up the show at 11:30 with the sharing space.
All right, Clement Manyatela and his foundation between 9 and 12.
Being in construction has taught me that buying machinery doesn't come cheap. Loaders, excavators, graders, they're the heartbeat of the job site. Now, thanks to My Way Business Insurance, I save up to 20% on my insurance premiums every month. This saving helps keep my machines working and projects moving.
Switch to My Way Business Insurance and save up to 20% on your yellow metal machinery. Real businesses, real savings. Call us on 0860 646464 today for a quote. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. Standard rates and T's and C's apply.
Hi, this is Alia Itzebet, Hollywood Bet's brand ambassador. A reminder that you can still shoot for the stars while playing responsibly. If you or someone you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling toll-free counselling line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
The Festival of Motoring, powered by Westbank, returns to the Kyalami Grand Prix circuit from 28 to 30 August. Experience thrilling track drives, supercars, drifting, 4x4 adventures, and the very latest in automotive innovation. Book your tickets now on Howler. The Festival of Motoring, where legacy meets innovation.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
It is a Wednesday, and of course, probably my favorite time of the week, Corporates That Care, looking at how businesses are using their resources to create opportunities for lasting impact. And today we are joined by PPS and its foundation, looking at their investment in education, helping students access university, helping them through their studies and well into the workplace. The foundation says it's awarded almost 37.4 million rand in bursaries. They've supported graduates. They've invested millions in career development, 26 university initiatives, and provided almost 130,000 meals to university students. We're joined now by Ayanda Siboni, who is the Group Executive for Mutuality at PPS. A very good morning to you and welcome to 702 Breakfast.
Thank you, Bongani.
I always start with a very simple question. Tell us, Ayanda, why is PPS a corporate that cares?
PPS is beyond a corporate that cares. PPS is a group of professionals that care. Our business is built on the ethos of mutuality, founded by 8 dentists 85 years ago. And mutuality is about the community at the center. It's built by that community for that community and beyond. So PPS cares because the professionals care, and we pay it forward in what we call the infinite game.
The infinite game, explain that, please.
The infinite game is when professionals, because we don't have owners, professionals are the ones that own the business. And as part of all the profits that are made, a portion is given to fund education, health, and other initiatives. And we believe that it's the professionals of today that are funding the professionals of tomorrow. And the business was given to us by the professionals of the past who invested and gave it to everyone.
And of course, the key to all of that is education, education, education. To be a professional, you need education, and it makes perfect sense why the PPS Foundation would care about that particular issue.
For sure. Our membership is obviously based on education, and education is one of the biggest levers for social mobility. It helps people, with talent that then can go out and go into the world and do great things.
And of course, the reality is not all professionals come from professionals, right? Particularly when it comes to the case of the missing middle, those students who sometimes fall through the cracks because maybe they don't come from households where their parents are professionals, but they're not so down and out that they're an obvious case for funding, and you're focusing on that.
Yes, our focus is purely on the missing middle for exactly the same reasons. From a NSFAS perspective, they are forgotten. They are too poor to be rich and not rich enough to really be rich.
Be poor.
Yeah. So that's where our focus is, and we believe that by supporting the missing middle, we can actually have a lasting impact in South Africa. In fact, one of the things I'm going to today is we're opening with the University of Pretoria an initiative called the Y3E, because we're looking at the stubborn unemployment of youth. So we're not only just looking at education from a bursaries perspective, but we're looking at how do we solve the problems of South Africa using the youth and using education as a tool for that social mobility.
Just tell me a little bit more about that initiative.
So the initiative is with the University of Pretoria, and we are looking at, it's starting off as a research project, trying to figure out what are the things that are making South Africa's unemployment so stubborn, especially youth unemployment so stubborn. So the money is being funneled, but something is stopping us from being able to create these jobs that we're looking for, especially for the youth.
Are we also creating the kinds of jobs that the market needs? Are we giving young people skills they can market?
So at surface value, it's no, but one of the initiatives that we have with an organization is called Devier is youth, trying to reskill youth. And we funded in this year 10 young people. All of them actually had STEM qualifications, but they found themselves to be unemployed. So in South Africa, there is something about the social aspects as well, social mobility. It's very difficult to enter if you don't have the right networks in a way. So there is the skilling and the mismatch, but there's also other elements.
Work readiness is also a thing, right? Contacts and networks could be another, but just being ready to enter the world of work. Tell me about LEAP.
LEAP is our initiative where we help young people bridge that gap between university and the world of work. And it's a training. We do things like CV writing, interview skills, helping them to understand what is expected at work, because work readiness is a real thing. People come into the world of work and they're coming from university, which is very unstructured and very self-driven, to corporates or workplaces, which are very much very structured, very rules-bound. So understanding how to behave, how to interact with others is crucial.
The other thing, of course, is just making sure that the students graduate, right? Because, tuition, you can tick a box. Accommodation, you can tick a box. Books, you can tick a box. Meals, you can tick a box. But there are the unseen threads that also work together with all of those elements to make sure that a student will be successful.
Yeah, meals, actually, you touch on a very important subject for us. We've been working around giving meals at universities because student hunger is such a devastating thing, and it actually takes away students' dignity. So it is an area that we're giving quite a lot of focus. In this year, we are on track to reach between 120 and 130,000 meals. We're on 110,000 as at today that we have provided with Rise Against Hunger. And all of that is to help students to achieve and then eventually graduate.
One of the things I love is some of your programs don't just wait for the students to reach university, but you're targeting them even earlier to be able to identify tomorrow's professionals as early as grade 11.
Yes, we've got a program called Cultivating Tomorrow's Professionals, where we get today's professionals to come and inspire and tell their stories, because the story actually matters. And we also give them math skills. We're in the process of building an app now, which is going to make it have a wider reach. But Cultivating Tomorrow's Professionals is probably one of the the initiatives that really touches my heart quite a lot. And we look at those kids, and we've been following them. It's now in its 5th year, and we've already got children that have graduated and have entered the world of work, which is phenomenal.
What are some of the more heartwarming stories around this?
Oh my goodness! There was a LinkedIn post the other day, a young lady who is now doing her honors in actuarial science, and she would have never gone into that field had it not been, for being part of Cultivating Tomorrow's Professionals. We get the actuaries in the business to come in and teach maths, and they're very passionate about maths. And we get all sorts of other professionals to come in. So, and there's a young lady actually who's finishing her honors now, and she's finishing her honors in marketing because of the talk that I gave from a marketing perspective. So when you hear stories like that, it's really awesome.
Because it's not just about the numbers, it's about the changed lives. It's about the light going in someone's eyes.
Yes, they see themselves in you. When I tell my story, I came from Umlazi, and all I had were dreams. And when you have dreams and you can put the work behind it, things conspire for good, and you'll get to where you want to be.
Oh, I love that. Things conspire for good. You're a marketer, aren't you? Ayanda Siboni is, of course, the Group Executive for Mutuality at PPS, a corporate that cares.
702.
More than a radio station.
Let's walk the talk.
Oh, look at the time. It's 9 o'clock. That means our time is up. 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa was brought to you by BCX, connecting cloud, telecom business connectivity, AI, and more to help organizations reduce complexity, improve resilience, and unlock opportunities.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Suspended Member of Parliament Fadil Adams is expected to be questioned about his handling of classified documents. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Suspended Member of Parliament Fadil Adams is expected to be questioned about his handling of classified documents when he appears at the Madlanga Commission today. Adams claimed the documents were slipped under his office door in Parliament in 2024. He says he then opened criminal cases against crime intelligence head Dumsani Kumalo, as well as other officers